3 people were inside the BMW, and police say one of them took off running. The other 2 were taken to the hospital. The person who was in the pickup truck was hurt, and CHP describes those injuries as minor. It's a prime example of why you are being warned to watch out for anything to potentially cause a wildfire. A fire that started as burning just 1 acre got out of hand quickly and ended up burning more than 1,000 acres Saturday morning near Blackwell's Corners. That happened near the intersection of Highways 46 and 33, say firefighters. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
To the rest world, in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing for those streaming on YouTube. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230, and we're streaming live at KERNradio.com. And the Kern Radio studios are powered by Adaptive Networks. For all your IT needs, call the folks at Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638. J.R. Flores, pulling double duty, just finished hosting his own show, and now is hosting ours, but not for the whole week. Young, starts with a D. Dana?
No.
Darla?
No, close.
Dina? Diana? What is the child's name?
You're there. It's close. Daisy.
Daisy, I knew that. Daisy Canal is going to be producing the next couple of days. Then you're back Thursday, Friday? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Very good, Mr. Burdick, on a well-deserved vacation. We got a busy broadcast. Obviously, we're going to begin with the death of Lindsey Graham. You know, of all days, it's a good thing that I'm healthy because I couldn't get a hold of a doctor if my life depended on it. Dr. Jeet Singh is in India visiting his parents. Hemal Kathari, my physician GP, is in meetings all afternoon. It's a good thing I'm healthy. I'd be in big trouble. So I am going to do the best I can. I'm not a physician, but I lived with one for 22 years, which makes me completely incompetent to talk about this. But I will do my best to try to explain what an aortic dissection is. It is a rare heart injury that affects the ascending aorta. I'll try to walk you through that in just a second, which obviously leads to the situation with Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham's fellow senator, who'd been essentially missing for weeks. And I think the death of Lindsey Graham put a charge in the McConnell people, basically saying, we got to say something, because now everybody's going to be talking about the health and age of the U.S. senators. And the next person they're going to come looking at, this ain't going to be John Fetterman, who's in his 50s. It's going to be Mitch McConnell, who's been missing in action. Well, they dressed him up, put a nice dress shirt on him in the hospital, which he would never be wearing. And Elaine Chao, his wife and former Treasury Secretary under Ronald Reagan, came back from China, where she had been, which is kind of peculiar. I'm not going as far as Marjorie Taylor Greene. I want to play some audio of her claiming that Elaine Chao is a Chinese spy. I'm not making that up. And her logic is, what wife would go to China when their husband is ill? Hell, I know a lot of wives that go a lot of places away from their husbands if their husbands were ill, but that's beside the point. And that it's kind of weak evidence to call somebody a spy. Maybe a horrendous wife, maybe not the most loyal companion, but a spy? Come on, Marjorie, you're going to need a little more evidence than that. But we'll delve into that. The Ivan Garza story out of Delano is taking some kind of odd twists or turns. It's an odd story in and of itself. I'm sure most of you are aware of this. This kid, and most of you, some of you, the loyal listeners know, I was once a reporter and worked for the Californian as a correspondent, and my responsibilities were Shafter, Wasco, McFarland, and Delano, where I still have a couple of sources. And I talked to some people about this, so we'll try to unpack that. I can promise you, I don't really have a story to break here, but I can tell you I've got more information from my three sources than the news organizations have. So we'll share that with you at the bottom of the hour. 65-year-old Carl Isa McDaniel. You know who he is, Mr. Flores? Yes, you do. And you all know who he is too. You all saw him this weekend flying through the air with the greatest of ease, with the help of a 2,000-pound bison. But I shouldn't joke because he broke his femur in 3 different places. But you guys, if the loyal listeners know.
I was going to say, because I was ready. As soon as I saw it, I said it. I was like, Pop. Go ahead.
I mean, y'all call me a bigot if you want to. You call me a bigot if you want to. But let me show you what I would do as an African-American. If I came within 50 yards of a bison, let me show you what I would do exactly. And this is why you should subscribe to YouTube, because there's so much that goes on this radio broadcast that you don't get to see. But let me just show you, just give you a slight impersonation of what I would do if I saw a bison from 50 yards. Okay, so I'm walking, and I spot the bison. That's just a short impression. I would run. But what did Carl Ison McDaniel do? Ooh, grandson, look at the big bison. Let's take a picture. Wait, he's rolling on the ground and snuffling. What? And at that point, they don't even run. I mean, I don't know anything about bison other than they're not buffalo. You know that? Even though there's a great buffalo joke, what did the buffalo say to his son going to college? Bye, son. Which is better, Mr. Flores?
That was pretty good.
Which is better? Why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't know why.
Because I love that one. But I don't know. Everybody's saying that he didn't do anything wrong, but from a guy from the black culture, I'm like, oh, yes, he did. He saw that animal and did not run.
I was going to say, he didn't do anything wrong, but he didn't do anything right.
Thank you. And, the funniest statement I've heard came from a reporter who said, well, bison are unpredictable. Let me explain something to you. Bison are part of a group that we call wild animals. You know what I'm saying? Not something that's running out at COM or a zoo, and those are wild animals as well. But all wild animals are unpredictable. That's why you don't approach them. Do you know that the bison kills more people at Yellowstone, this is where this occurred, than any other animal? And that the bison is the largest land mammal in North America? So this thing weighs a ton and sent this man flying into the sky. If you haven't seen the video, look up Carl Isor McDaniel. I don't know what his middle name is. Carl McDaniel. We'll delve into that a little bit. Coming up in the 5, Supervisor Jeff Flores is going to join us. They are going to vote DHS, which you know, Department of Human Services, which you know, if you listen to the show fairly regularly, I am a staunch critic of, because we had Mr. Murillo, the head of DHS, forget what his first name is, starts with an L. I'll look it up during the break. But they came on our show shortly after the Genesis Mata situation, the young 8-year-old who died a horrendous death in a local hotel here, being tortured by her parents, allegedly. One of them biological, one of them stepmother, allegedly tortured this child. But this should never happen. And shortly thereafter, we had the DH people on. We had Mr. Murillo and one of his assistants. And I asked them to give themselves a letter grade, and they gave themselves an A. And then shortly after that, they announced that we're going to be hiring and spending my money, your money, JR's money on bringing up a consultant. Well, now they're going to vote that the consultant wants more money. Isn't that a shock? And when you say that you're an A, you give your staff an A, then why do you need a consultant? That's like Lily getting straight A's and coming to JR and saying, Dad, I need a very expensive tutor. JR would look at her like, you're getting 4.0. We're good. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to say you're an A, your organization is an A, why do you need a consultant? And why do we have to spend $200,000 more? Of course they're going to say they need more time. What do you think they're going to do this and just run out of town? No, they found a mark. And guess who it is? Kern County. Let's bill them another 200 grand. It's crazy. And we need the help, although not according to DHS, because they gave themselves an A, remember? And then went running to San Diego, spending my money to bring in this consultant. And now the money has dried up. The consultant has found a mark, and that is a target in grifting terms. And so why not squeeze us for another $250,000? So we'll talk to Mr. Flores about that. The Dodgers head into the All-Star break, not on the brightest of terms, but a great first half. Got the best record in baseball. We're not even healthy. Evan Phillips came back over the weekend. He got slammed, but he's back. And we got swept for the first time by the Arizona Diamondbacks since 2017 was the last time the Diamondbacks swept us. But we're in good shape. First place by double digits on everybody in the National League West. Shohei Ohtani's got a bad knee, but he hit a home run again yesterday. So he is not going to participate in the All-Star game. But we got 6 folks going to the All-Star team. We're excited about that. We'll talk about that. Yannick Sinner is your Wimbledon champion. Won in 4 sets over Zverev, Zverev, Zverev. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's German. Who cares? That went in 4 straights. And Caitlin Clark is still in the news. The GOP is still banging the WNBA commissioner. And now this is getting more attention because the WNBA commissioner was supposed to go on Dan, what's Dan's name? Talk show host, used to be the ESPN host with Oberman. Dan.
I was going to say Rathers, but that's
No, not Dan.
Patrick. Is his name.
Dan Patrick,
Yeah.
Thank you. Went on Dan Patrick and canceled at the last minute. Now, you've seen me when people cancel at the last minute. Imagine if I had a national show. So Patrick went off on the commissioner, how the WNBA is run, and I'll talk about that and continue to make my point that 2 things can be true at the same time. Yes, Caitlin Clark has taken the WNBA to levels it's never seen in its 30-year existence. She brought in an element that we had never seen in the WNBA, sharp shooting from Steph Curry-like range. We've never seen that. And so she brought a zest and a vitality and a new element to the WNBA that got those ladies out of sitting in airports waiting for commercial planes. They now fly charter. The salaries have gone up. They just had a bargaining agreement where the salaries quadrupled in some cases. These ladies owe a debt of gratitude to Caitlin Clark. But at the same time, I understand some of their resentment. I really do. Because Caitlin Clark is not the best player on the Indiana Fever. And we'll get into that. I've got some statistics that I will show you. She's 5th in scoring. She's 6th in 3-point shooting. She was 1 of 5 from the floor last night. And Sophie Cunningham, who's making all kind of news because of the fight that she was in with that girl where she just pointed at the girl and got a technical. She pointed at the girl and got a technical. And now this pointing thing, because she's a cute girl, and she just had this kind of really sarcastic look on her face because the black girl wanted to get at her, and she's pointing at her like she's going to get at her. Because that always amuses me. You know, I've always wanted somebody who would just be like, let him go. You know, the person's like, let me at him. I've always been like, let him go and see what happens. You know what I mean? So Sophie mocked her and was pointing at her. That's now on T-shirts. It's gone viral. Then she went to the UFC fight, which ended up being a dud. Thank you, Conor McGregor. And she's good friends with Dana White. And Dana White sees her sitting there about 8-10 minutes before the match starts, and she goes, I'd love to be a ring girl. And he goes, well, then do it. Round one. And she did it, and she got her thing, and she was pointing. So she's made a big deal. She was 5 of 7 from the floor, from three. 5 of 7. She had 20 points. Caitlin was 1 of 5. She was like 5 of 11 from the floor. She had 12 points. 3 other ladies on her own team outscored her. She's not the best player on her team, and she's a defensive liability. So 2 things can be true. Are these jealous, mostly lesbians who are bitter because this young woman is getting all this attention while Lisa Leslie and Cheryl Miller and Sue Bird and all these ladies that kind of with the foundation of the WNBA never got the love that this girl is getting? I get that. But they still owe her a debt of gratitude. We'll dig into that as well. Running a little late. Let's get started. We'll come back and give you the latest on Lindsey Graham. Try to explain what aortic dissection is the best way I can. Then at the bottom of the hour, we'll get into the Ivan Garza story. We'll talk about the bison. You know, it's mating season for bison. And part of that, doesn't part of that have to be on Yellowstone? Like, if this is the one period of the year where these bison are all horny and angry and frustrated, don't you want to tell the people that? Don't you want to say you should take extra precautions because these boys are horny? And you know how young men get when they're horny. They get a little ornery, a little frustrated, a little angry, and they might like come after you. Some of that, I think, should fall on Yellowstone. And I think that's one of the reasons they're saying, well, Grandpa didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything right either. But we'll get into that. We're just getting started on this Monday. It's the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Casey.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, we will talk water. There's a lot of stuff going on. And who better to discuss it with than the best in the business, Lois Henry, sjvwater.org, will join us on the program. And we will have the very latest in news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
You know, I love when folks come and talk to me about the show or give me criticism or remarks. And I had a woman come up to me lately and say, I'm so glad that you talked about how Chef Daniel has expanded the menu, because you're exactly right. I love Casey Steakhouse. I adore Cassie Biddle, but I'm really not a big red eat meter. But I have come in and I'm one of the people that have asked the ladies for the Ralph Bailey, which is a chicken breast smothered in a creamy mushroom and spinach sauce. I've told you about the fish dishes. Chef Daniel has done an incredible job just expanding the menu, the fettuccine Alfredo. They have Italian dishes, the lobster mac and cheese. And as I've told you recently, some of the new pastries are coming from Tastries Bakery, one of our favorite owners and operators as well. So where would you rather be? Beat the heat. It's going to be another stormer this weekend. Get into Casey's Steakhouse in the capable hands of the lovely women at Casey's Steakhouse. Don't forget about the Stockyard next door, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. And don't forget Bobby and Jimmy are providing live music in the main restaurant Tuesday through Saturday. Where would you rather be than on F Street in the capable hands of Cassie Biddle's incredible staff at Casey's Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Hey, I'm not one to say I told you so, but do you remember last year when I told you that Pure Talk was hands down the best wireless company that I'd ever used? Well, some of you were skeptical, but Consumer Reports just asked 120,000 people to rate every wireless company in America, including the big boys. Well, guess which company was the only company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. Coverage, support, value, data. 5 stars across the board. No service contracts, no cancellation fees, just great U.S. customer service on a crazy fast 5G network for a fraction of what you've been paying. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I will encourage you one more time to dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to a 5-star American wireless company that won't let you down. Pure Talk.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his longstanding and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
I said upside down, you're turning me. You're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you're
So I don't know. You didn't have to be a genius. When I heard that he had a sudden illness, the first thing I thought of was a heart attack, had to be, or a stroke. And what happened was, it's called aortic dissection. You have a 50% chance of dying before you reach a hospital if this occurs. And you've got a very limited amount of time because internal bleeding is involved. Again, I talked about the ascending aorta and the descending aorta. And of the two, obviously, ascending aorta is most important because it's bringing the blood to the heart as opposed to taking it away from the heart with the descending aorta. And there are 3 layers of the arterial walls. And this is what worries me. And one of the reasons I do not believe I'm going to live a long life like 80s, early 90s, because the main cause of the deterioration of these walls is high blood pressure. It's one of the main reasons I keep telling you, you absolutely have to know your numbers. And what amazes me, and the real reason I wanted to talk to a physician today, is how did a guy, 71 years old, relatively young, with the single best healthcare in the world? There are 2 people that have the single best healthcare in the world. They are members of the government and prisoners. That's right. That's what I said. At least in California, they get some of the best healthcare. Where did Charles Manson die? In one of our hospitals. We're bringing him to one of our hospitals. They get some of the best healthcare on the planet, along with the federal government. So how did a guy like this not know that this was going on? The symptoms are stroke-like, where you half your body is paralyzed, but the most obvious is a massive, massive pain in the middle of your chest. And that intimal layer, that third wall, the first of the third walls of your arterial wall, is the one that rips open, and it's internal bleeding. And if you don't have a vascular surgeon nearby, your chances of living are extremely low. The good news is this happens to about 3 out of 1,000 patients. And apparently, I mean, the only thing we can guess, and we'll find out more when the toxicology report comes out, et cetera, but how a guy with the best healthcare, I mean, he had Walter Reed at his exposure he had in Baltimore, Johns Hopkins was one of the, we're talking about 2 of the best hospitals in this country, literally, Walter Reed and Johns Hopkins, 2 of the best, and Baltimore's a 45-minute drive. I mean, not that he was going to go there initially, but in terms of having access to it and keeping his health up while he was in his 60s and early 70s, 2 of the best hospitals within an hour of you. So how he wasn't aware of his blood pressure, or how his blood pressure was high, assuming he was on some type of meds, whatever, but it is an absolute mystery. The other news is late this afternoon, or early this afternoon, I should say, Governor Henry McMaster of my father's home state of South Carolina took the president's advice, who suggested this right after Lindsey Graham died, that he announced his sister to be the interim. That is Darlene Graham Norden, They both lost their parents at an early age, and Lindsay adopted her basically as a daughter. And now South Carolina faces several filing and other deadlines. The filing opens on the 21st of this month. The deadline is the 28th. Then they'll have a special primary after my birthday, August the 4th. And then if there's nobody gets 50% or more, there'll be a runoff August the 18th. I've got some audio that I'm going to play from Democrats who spoke ill of this man after he died, which is a page out of Donald Trump's bag, but it's still inexcusable. And you'll hear from Lindsey Graham, his famous speech about Brett Kavanaugh in defense. We'll get into that after these important words. I would stick around if I you.
Current news. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster has named Darlena Graham Nordone as her late brother Lindsey Graham's temporary replacement in the U.S. Senate. Graham died at age 71 over the weekend. Nordone will serve the remaining months of his term, which ends in January. A special election next month will determine the new Republican nominee for Graham's seat. The U.S. has announced a new round of strikes on Iran hours after President Trump said the United States is reinstating a blockade on Iran in the Strait of Hormuz and, in a seeming policy reversal, will charge other ships for safe passage. Iran has insisted it controls the critical waterway. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 138 points. The Nasdaq dropped 408. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey, I'm not one to say I told you so, but
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. A 4.3 magnitude earthquake happened this morning near Johannesburg, which is near Mojave. That quake was strong enough to be felt all over Kern County. It happened about 9:40 a.m., says the U.S. Geological Survey. It was close to the same strength as the one that originated near Fraser Park Sunday morning about 3. No injuries or major damage were reported in either quake. A 17-year-old was killed when the motorized scooter that he was driving was hit from behind by a Chevy van Friday night just before 11:30, says the Highway Patrol. That happened on Lost Hills Drive near King Street. Neither drugs nor alcohol were believed to be a factor in the wreck, and the driver cooperated with police. No ID has been made public on the person who was killed. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Did you know termites can silently feast on your home for 3 to 4 years before you see any damage? They can literally eat a bedroom wall in less than 2 years, causing major structural damage to your biggest investment. Don't wait for the evidence to appear. Ryan's Termite is running an early bird special. If you know or even suspect that you have termites, get on Ryan's schedule now for an additional 10% off our already lowest price. All work is guaranteed. There's no money down and no contracts. Plus, in most cases, you won't even have to move or tent your house. Protect your home and save. Call Ryan's today. That's Ryan'sTermiteControl.com.
We all start as tiny seeds, needing care, love, and a little sunlight. Then, boom, we sprout, stretch, and grow through the world of childhood and teen years.
Yeah, no kidding.
Before you know it, we're blooming, working, parenting, thriving. And yes, even golden petals can shine bright. Join Kern County Public Health and thrive like a poppy. Visit KernPublicHealth.com to learn more.
Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
Judge blocks the Virginia law barring ICE agents from wearing a mask. Can you believe that? Can you believe they have to have a law prohibiting masks? That's the insanity going on. A judge ruled that it's likely unconstitutional. All they had to do was get a message from the DOJ. Excuse me, but that's unconstitutional. Go away. Swat them like a fly.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Stayed in town this weekend. Did not play golf yesterday. We played Saturday. So much fun. So much fun again.
You up at BCC?
Yeah,
Chris?
I finally found it. we played match because he's involved in a match tournament at BCC. So we played a match, and normally when you play match means it's by hole. So if JR and I are playing, he makes a 5, I make a 6, he wins the hole, he's up 1. We go to the next hole. He's not up by 1 stroke. He could win, he can make 5 and I can make 8. And he's still just up 1. You just got to win the hole. And like I said, you can win 5 and 4. The match can end like on the 14th hole if you're up so much that they don't have enough holes to make it back. So we played match, and he literally made a par putt, a 12-foot par putt on the 18th hole to beat me. The proudest I am is he had me down 2 with 3 to play, and I screwed up. I made an 8 on 15, the par 5. I hit a 3-wood into the bark and thought I could just chop it out, and I shanked it out of the way. It was ugly. It was ugly. And then finally got on in 5, and then 3-putted for an 8. So I'm down 2 with 3 to play, and I go par. So now we're even with 1 to play. And Zucchini, this little SOB, I've got a putt for 5. I hit the worst drive of the day because I'm trying to kill it on 18. Goes 100 yards. I said, I'm still going to make 4. And I get on in 4, and I've got a short bogey putt. He's on in 3. He's got a 12-footer. And so if he misses and I make, we're going to 1. He's like, we're going to 1. We're going to continue this match. And I go, that's fine, because you're going to miss and I'm going to make. And he goes, pick it up. I go, what? Pick it up. I'm going to take you out of your misery. And I go, I'm not picking this up, because if you miss, you're going to say, well, I gave it to you. No, I'm going to putt this out. And he goes, all right, put you out of your misery. And just calmly roll that son of a gun in and beat me 1 up and beat me by 5 strokes. You know, the last time I was within 5 strokes of Chris Zucchini, I was young and good looking. That's how long ago it was. So then he gets into the match play that he's involved with the very next day, and he's dominating this guy. And you know, Chris's game, Chris, you can out-hit Chris, and he will beat you by 5 or 7 strokes because he's got one of the best short games in town, literally. Do you know he had this guy up 2, and he was trying to close him out? To make a long story short, because I don't want to see you, I'm boring you to death. He 3-putted 3 holes in a row to let this guy back into the match, which I've never seen happen. I've been playing golf with Chris Zucchini for 20 years, and I've never seen him 3-putt twice in a row, let alone 3 times in a row. And then he finally took him out on the second extra hole. So congratulations to Chris Zucchini as he moves along. But I am close, and it just feels good to be over the ball and know you're going to hit it solidly. Not always going to hit it straight. You know, I'm going to miss left, I'm going to miss right, but I know I'm going to hit the ball solidly. That's what's fun again. Meantime, I got some audio I want to play for you. Listen to what the Iranians said about Lindsey Graham's death. I congratulate the great nation of Iran on Lindsey Graham, the warmongering, anti-Iranian U.S. senator being sent to hell. Stay tuned for more coverage on the news channel. They're celebrating this. But unfortunately, there are enemies. Of course they're celebrating this. But not all of our enemies are celebrating. People that are supposed to be Americans are also celebrating. This is Keith Boykin. He is a regular on CNN and just a god-awful, despicable human being. Listen to this guy.
I'm going to do it. I'm not going to stand here and pretend that Senator Lindsey Graham was a great and honorable man just because he's dead, because he wasn't. Lindsey Graham was a miserable, evil warmonger with no principles. The sad, pathetic end of his career is a testament to a Republican Party that's become a cult to Donald Trump. And I don't care what anybody says from the Republican Party. I'm not going to take any lectures from them after they support a president who virtually spit on the graves of John McCain, Robert Mueller, and Rob Reiner. What made Lindsey Graham so horrible is that he knew better. He was close friends with Republican Senator John McCain, the man Trump attacked in life and kept attacking after he died in 2018. And then he snuggled up to Trump like a puppy dog begging for a bone from his owner. What kind of man befriends the enemy of his deceased best friend?
And what kind of man speaks ill of a man who is dead and can't defend himself and whose family is grieving? That's the point. Lindsey Graham isn't paying attention to Keith Boykin. He's hopefully playing a harp and with his family in heaven, if we all believe that. But his family is grieving. And you would go out of your way to make a whatever this is, Instagram deal just to get likes and whatever, to denigrate a dead man. Like I said, when Trump did this, it's exactly what I said. I just wasn't raised like that. And he's right. Trump has done that. So is that your point now? You're going to start tearing pages out of the Trump script? And I don't want to be lectured by Democrats who perpetuated one of the greatest lies since Woodrow Wilson was lying unconscious with a stroke, and Mrs. Wilson was running the country. Because you all knew that Joe Biden was inept, incompetent, and incapable of running this country. And you said things like, we can't even keep up with him. Keep up with him? You can't keep him awake. So don't you lecture Republicans about integrity or honesty, because it's one big bag of hypocrites and liars and people that are cozying up to people for power, like, oh, I don't know, say a Graham Plattner, who you all knew, you Democrats absolutely knew was a Nazi, and it wasn't disqualifying. So I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to be lectured either. There is enough blame to go to both sides of the aisle. But one would think just because somebody else has a despicable character, that makes it okay for you to speak ill of the dead? Fine. If that's the way you were raised, fine, I suppose. I don't get it. And why you would do that to a family that hasn't, man's body's not even in the ground yet. And this guy goes out of his way. It's much longer. Makes my ears bleed. I'm sure yours as well. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. The politics are so divided now that it's within the boundaries of normal societal norms to speak ill of somebody who cannot defend themselves. And I think it's about as despicable as it gets. Meantime, out in Delano, the Delano police say there's no mystery, but the family of Ivan Garza, the 25-year-old football player who was run down at 4 o'clock in the morning, there is a bit of mystery going on. As I told you, I was a reporter out there. I covered Delano for about almost 2 years and still have some contacts out there. So I figured I'd give some folks a call. And the first thing I should say before we get into the weeds of this thing is each one of my sources, all three don't know one another, all have three different professions, all said the very same thing, like almost identical. They all led with, I know every family says this about their boy, and then you find out the kid was a gangbanger. You know what I'm saying? Every family, when the child dies, says what a wonderful kid he was and what a beautiful soul. And then the cops release the fact that he was a gangbanger. All three of my sources said that wasn't true with Ivan Garza. They told me that Ivan Garza was the kind of person that you would literally want for your child, that he was an incredible young man, a beast of a football player. I believe he went to Kennedy High School and was the first 4-year recruit. He went to, I can't remember, those facts didn't really matter to me. I think it's North Dakota, a D1 school, and gave up his 4th-year scholarship to come home and help out with his family. From everything that I have heard, this was a great kid. Now we get to the question marks. A, what the Sam Hill was he doing walking around Delano at 4 a.m. in the morning? And then there's the driver of the vehicle. According to the police, the Delano police insist that he was walking across the street and was struck by a 32-year-old woman who stayed on the scene and helped them with the situation. All three of my sources insist that the 32-year-old woman in question, and they gave me some other facts that I'm not real comfortable repeating right now, but it's safe to say that the woman knew the family. The family is saying he was not walking in the middle of the street, he was on the sidewalk, and that the 32-year-old woman hit him intentionally. Now, what I am comfortable of saying is that the 32-year-old woman that struck Garza knew the family. There was a relationship between the 32-year-old woman and the Garza family. How that is, I got different stories, so I'm not ready to go with that yet. It involves ex-husbands and wives and things of that nature, so I'm not going there. But suffice it to say, the woman knew Garza and knew the Garza family. The Garza family insists it was done intentional, that she did not stay at the scene of the crime. My sources insist that there was a 30-minute gap before the police were contacted and before she, the driver, contacted the family, which she did. But again, there is a discrepancy between what the family says happened, he was walking on the sidewalk, it was done intentionally, and what the Delano Police Department is saying, he was in the middle of the street, the woman stayed on scene, and it was an accident. That's about all we know. It is a horrible, horrible situation. This kid was 25 years old, and it is just, Sonia, his aunt, is doing a lot of the speaking for the family, but they are not happy with the investigation thus far. There was a candlelight vigil held last night for this young man, 25 years old, but it's just a really sad, sad situation, and you're just not supposed to bury your children. You're just not supposed to do that. And like I've always said, it doesn't matter how old the child is or how old the parent is. You know, my mother is not supposed to bury me. She's 84. She's going to be 84, and I'm going to be 64. And she's not supposed to bury me. And it's the same thing. You're not supposed to bury your children. That's not the circle of life. Children bury their parents. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the Garza family and the whole community out in Delano. Because remember, Delano is like, it's like a big neighborhood. You know, I mean, it's a city and it's got its own police department, it's a municipality, but it's like a big neighborhood. And if you live there and you grew up there, you went to high school there, it's kind of like Bakersfield, but in a much smaller respect. You know just about everybody. And if you don't know somebody, you know somebody who knows somebody. You know what I'm saying? And so this is the talk that's going on out there in the north. And we'll continue to follow this and try to give you as much information as we can, because something's going to come to a head. I don't think the family is going to let this go. And at some point, the Delano Police Department is going to have to release information about the timing of the accident, the timing of the call from the woman, and there's going to have to be some sort of press conference because the family doesn't believe what the police are saying. And that could just be anger and bitterness. You know, if my son got ran over by somebody who knew my family and there may have been friction between that person and the family, that'd probably be one of the first things that I would think. You know, I've told you the story about my uncle's late wife, or not late wife, but ex-wife. My mother couldn't stand her. And funniest thing, like if anything went wrong in the house, it was Arlena's fault. Like some of my mother's silverware was missing and my mother blamed Arlena. And come to find out, my dad had the silverware sent out to get cleaned. You know what I'm saying? When there's an edge in the relationship and something goes wrong, you're automatically going to blame that person. And that may be the case. I don't know. But again, we'll follow this up and try to get to the latest details throughout the week. Let's go ahead and take a break. And we come back. Got some more miscellaneous news and notes to get to. The supervisors are going to vote on sending a San Diego consulting firm another $250,000 of our money, despite the fact that DHS says grade-wise, they're an A. They're good. Then why did you bring in a consultant using my money, and why are you about to give them more money? We'll talk about that. Plus, Jeff Flores will join us in the 5, supervisor, who will make a vote on this tomorrow. Oh, they're going to get their money. Oh, they're going to get their money. Because the supervisors find themselves between a rock and a hard place. If you don't give them their money and another Genesis Mata comes up, the DHS people say, well, we tried to hire a consultant. You wouldn't give us the money. But at the same time, shouldn't you clean up your own house? And if you're an A, why do you need a tutor? If you're an A student, you don't need a tutor. And you heard them on this show. I asked them, quite frankly, what grade would you give yourself in wake of an 8-year-old child being tortured in a local hotel in a case that you all opened, DHS, and examined and obviously didn't follow up on because the trial hasn't gone on, so they've allegedly done it, but the Mata parents, the biological parent, the stepmother, shouldn't be around children, let alone raising them. But they've allegedly killed this girl. But there shouldn't be one murder like this. Not at the hands of DHS, not into situations that they've looked into and then given a pass. We'll delve into that as well. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on a Monday, right here on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Messmaker?
Messmaker?
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, we will talk water. There's a lot of stuff going on. And who better to discuss it with than the best in the business, Lois Henry, sjvwater.org. Will join us on the program. And we will have the very latest in news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
I've told you guys, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm really not. I know a lot of things about a couple of categories, but generally speaking, I'm of average intelligence. But the single smartest thing that I have ever done, particularly financially, was become a client of Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. As I get further and further in the back nine of my life, I need something to stave off poverty as an old man. And I don't want to depend on a 401k, and I certainly don't want to depend on Social Security. And one of the proudest things I am about my relationship with Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, that I've turned on a couple of colleagues here to Daniel. And as I always say, they could not be happier with the work that he's done for them. So if you're facing retirement, want to stash away some dough beyond your 401k and beyond Social Security, call Daniel at 395-9400, 395-9400. His office is located on the corner of 21st and Oak. He joins us every Thursday at 4:30 right here on The Ralph Bailey Show, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation for advisory services by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. The program host is a client and receives compensation and other financial benefits in connection with this advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other clients.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Carpet Outlet Plus is celebrating 30 years in business by offering you no interest financing for 12 months. Head over to carpetoutletplus.com to apply now. You can get new waterproof flooring and comfy carpet in the bedrooms, all from one trusted place. Over 70,000 customers can't be wrong. It's probably been time to change your floors for a while, so call, click, or stop by today. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore, and every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief.
1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of acid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to The Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Maybe you wanna give me kisses sweet.
Oh, in that case, I don't want no part. I do believe that would only break my heart. Oh, if you feel like loving me, if you got the notion, second that emotion. If you feel like loving me, a lifetime of devotion. I second that emotion. Yeah.
842-5376-842-KERN. Any text messages, he said reluctantly. Growing weary of text messages. I really am.
Why?
Because I'm beginning to think that some people just like to troll me just to get me angry to see if they can. Because I'm incredibly predictable. Because they're just getting silly at some point, some of them. But some of them are brilliant. That's why I just can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Some of you guys are rather intelligent. Some of you, not so much. But what do you got?
Let me see. They're just coming up. Somebody said, "Come on, Ralph. What about Luigi's?"
What about Luigi's?
I don't know. But did you see that burn this weekend?
Yeah.
Somebody tried to catch it on fire anyway?
Yes. And I spoke to Mr. Valpreda, who's in Montana. What else you got? He is a sponsor and a good friend of mine, and that's about the end of it. And if he wanted me to talk about it, I would obviously be talking about it. I obviously knew about it, but I spoke with Gino. He's fishing in Montana, and that's the end of that. What else you got?
They're doing fine.
They're doing fine.
Ralph?
Yes!
Your bison reminded me of Lion Country Safari. We did not roll the windows down for air when the lions came by. That was in 1972. Sorry to see that part go.
Has it gone? I did not know that. Yeah, that was the only thing I liked about San Diego was the safari. And you're absolutely right. And you've seen those videos of people who have left their windows down, and animals will get in the windows and start licking or sucking or biting on people. I've seen that many, many times. There is a cultural difference. There really is, where you people being Caucasians are fascinated by wild animals. While I think culturally most black folks run. Hell, we run when we see a mean dog, let alone a 2-ton bison that's rolling on the ground. Apparently, when they roll on the ground like that, or when their tail is wagging, or if the tail goes straight up, you are in deep doo-doo.
So yeah, that's what when I watched the video, as soon as the guy brings up the what is it? He had binoculars or something.
I think he's taking a picture.
Or taking a picture, whatever he brought up to his face.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the tail start to wag,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought of a dog. I'm like, he's excited, fool. What are you doing there?
Exactly. Running around, he was rolling on the ground and just getting his testosterone up, and they're just standing there. That's why I don't understand it. They are wild animals. Like I said, the craziest comment was from the reporter who said that bison are unpredictable. Show me a predictable wild animal. You know what I'm saying? Pigeons are unpredictable. You don't know where they're going to crap on you. Are you kidding? On a statue or on top of your head? You never know. Give me a break. One more. Let's get in the four.
All it says is red meat eater, ?
Red meat eater?
Yeah. No,
I don't know what that means. Red meat.
About 325. I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Was that during the break? During my KC Steakhouse spot where I say you don't have to be a red meat eater to love KC Steakhouse?
Maybe
because of the
possible,
lobster mac and cheese and the Italian dishes, the fettuccine Alfredo. God, I miss that. God, I miss the fettuccine Alfredo. I could drink Chef Daniel's Alfredo sauce, and then I'd be limping for the next 7 days because it just eats up it creates so much uric acid that I can't even have it.
But there are just there are other options at Casey's Steakhouse beyond the ribeye. Oh, my favorite is the filet, the New York. What are you?
Oh, last week I did on my birthday. I did the Cajun Alfredo with the shrimp on top.
Ooh!
I always switch it up. That's the thing. Like we'll go in there, my daughter and I, and they automatically know she wants steak.
Well, Lily
bites.
doesn't. Yeah, I was gonna say she doesn't mix it out.
She sits down there like
She's the steak
Shirley
bites.
Temple. Shirley Temple. Yeah, steak bites.
bites?
Well, medium rare. Okay, gotcha, kid. What about you, Dad? I'm like, well, what's the specials?
Yeah, no
I switch
kidding.
it up all the time.
Yeah, because Chef Daniel's done such a great job at mixing up the menu that you don't have to be. Because the only reason I say that is because I see so many large groups, parties, anniversaries, and not everybody's feeling red meat. Well, don't worry about that. Great fish dishes, great chicken dishes, great pasta. Quick time out. Head into the 4. Don't go anywhere.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
Hall, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster has appointed the late Lindsey Graham's sister Darlene Nardone to his Senate seat for the remainder of his term. Graham died suddenly Saturday at the age of 71. Darlene Graham Nardone said it will be an honor to fill the rest of her brother's Senate term.
I think this is what Lindsey would have wanted, and I plan to honor him in this way. Now to Lindsey, I miss you more than I can even put into words. But I'm going to do this. I got it.
A special election next month will determine the new Republican nominee for Graham's seat. The open seat has sparked interest among South Carolina's conservatives. A special primary election is scheduled for August 11th with a runoff on August 25th if needed. President Trump says he's sending a clear message to Iran, Willie Nelson reports.
During an interview with Hugh Hewitt on the Salem Radio Network, President Trump discussed planned military action against Iran.
As an example, we're going to hit them very hard tonight, and we're going to hit them hard tomorrow. They have nothing. They have nothing going other than they have big mouths.
The comments come as the administration keeps pressure on the Iranian regime. Willie Nelson, the White House.
The heat is back on across the country through Thursday. Meteorologist Joe Wegman of the National Weather Service says a heat wave should be taken seriously.
These levels of extreme heat can impact anybody from the healthy to the infirm, and also to remind folks to please never leave children or animals unattended in vehicles during this hot weather. Heat stroke is a very real problem.
On Wall Street, the Dow down by 138 points. The Nasdaq dropped 408. The S&P declined 60. More at townhall.com.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds, and you're overweight. Winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So, yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds, too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
A deal to create a media juggernaut is being challenged.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
More info on the wreck between a scooter and a Chevy van. I'm
Hey,
Chris
Joey.
Davis. That wreck happened Friday night just before 11:30, and the California Highway Patrol says
what
a
do I know?
17-year-old who was on the motorized scooter died.
Don't ask
The
me.
van was
What
being
the hell
driven
do
by
I
a
know?
63-year-old man from Sacramento, and the Highway Patrol says for some reason, as yet unknown, he kept going when the scooter stopped. The 17-year-old was pronounced dead on the scene and has not been ID'd publicly. CHP does not believe that drugs or alcohol were a factor in the wreck. It happened on Lost Hills Road just south of King Street. Another earthquake felt in Kern County, and this one actually originated here near Johannesburg, which is close to Mojave. That happened about 9:40 this morning, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. They have
65-year-old
preliminarily rated
tossed
the
by a
earthquake
bison.
a 4.3 on the Richter scale. That's
Flying
the
through the
second
air.
quake in 2 days. The first happened Sunday morning about 3:38, and that was near Frazier Park. That one was 4.1. No injuries or major damage have been reported from either quake. A BMW ran a stop sign about 3 this morning at Flower and Gage Streets, says the California Highway Patrol. When that happened, the Beamer and a truck hit. 3 people were inside the BMW, and police say one of them took off running. The other 2 were taken to the hospital. The person who was in the pickup truck was hurt, and CHP describes those injuries as minor. It's a prime example of why you are being warned to watch out for anything that could potentially cause a wildfire. A fire that started as burning just 1 acre got out of hand quickly and ended up burning more than 1,000 acres Saturday morning near Blackwell's Corners. That happened near the intersection of Highways 46 and 33, say firefighters. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
To the rest well in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want. Too late. They start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make them an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Monday, 13th day of July. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. Don't forget, just about an hour, top of the hour, Jeff Flores, supervisor and overall good egg, will join us. We're going to talk about DHS asking for more money for the consulting firm that was brought in here to help them tell us how to deal with our kids, I suppose. This came in the wake of the Genesis Mata case, an 8-year-old who was tortured and murdered in a local hotel just about 2 miles from where I'm sitting. And you know what's likely to happen? Wheeling and dealing Cynthia Zimmer will probably make a plea deal. That's been the latest trend coming out of Truxton, where you figure if a pimp and a human trafficker can get a plea deal, and if Zach Scrivener can receive the justice that he received, and who's the other plea deal? Oh, the guy that killed a grandmother because he was high on weed and crashed into her car, killing her, got a plea deal. Then, I mean, it seems to be the way that the district attorney is meting out justice these days. Why go to trial when we cut a deal? And why give a pimp who got caught with methamphetamine and drug money and weapons and kiddie porn and who human trafficked a human being, why not cut him a deal? And I'm beginning to believe that I think they're understaffed. They're probably overworked, which is a fair response from the DA's office, but I think they are intimidated by the defense attorneys because in both those cases, it was David Torres and H.A. Sala, which I would think it's safe to say 2 attorneys who not one of those attorneys in that DA's office could carry their briefcase. And so I think when Sala and Torres and other well-known attorneys come up like that, I think Cynthia Zimmer just says punt. Just says punt. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I base this on no evidence. I haven't talked to anybody about this. I'm just speculating because I can't understand a woman that I once talked about as one of the most vigilant crime fighters I'd ever met is willing to make a deal with a human trafficker. You know, finally, because of Des Perkins and because of some other organizations that do annual fundraisers to help fight human trafficking. We just recently, I would say in the last 5 to 10 years, discovered that human trafficking is happening right here. I think it's pretty safe to say that Des Perkins has been kind of the poster child or point person, or really the woman responsible for kind of pulling back the curtain on human trafficking. And she did it much in the way that I try to approach my show. Like, I talk about my health, not to hear myself talk, but to give you clues as to how to approach your life health-wise. And so I try to tell you some of the problems that I've gone through: high blood pressure, gout, and how I've dealt with that. Like, seeing a physician 2 or 3 times a year, constantly knowing my numbers, getting blood tests, sometimes when they're not even requested by my physician, just a blood test so I can know where my A1C is, where my sugar count is, and I can know what my blood pressure is, and I can know my numbers, because this is what's so important. Go ask Lindsey Graham if knowing your numbers aren't important, that if combating high blood pressure, which is the reason that your descending aorta would burst because of high blood pressure, the pressure that the blood, I mean, imagine, you have a canal and you have walls that guardrail that canal, and you just have something rushing through those canals, and it wears it thin. But back to our DA, there's no reason I can't think of beyond the intimidation of the attorneys or the lack of staffing. And remember, this isn't an exclusive issue. That I have sources that say there's chaos at the DA's office. There are suits that are being filed by deputy DAs against the DA's office. There's all kind of morale problems, apparently. And there was the issue with Lauren Skidmore with the DA's office, which, again, I still believe, no matter if they really wanted to get rid of the Open Door Network and move on to a different organization, the piling on, besmirching Lauren Skidmore's character seemed out of character for a DA, period. I'm not just talking about Cynthia Zimmer. I'm talking about any one of the 58 in the 58 counties in this state. You want to cut somebody off, cut them off. Have you ever heard of firing somebody and then talking about them after the fact? You HR people know this. Once you cut off somebody, you're done with them. You wash your hands and you hope you never have to mention their name or have to talk about them or talk with them or deal with them ever again. That's why you fire them. You don't fire them and then talk smack about them after you fire them. You give them a box, you tell them to clean their desk, and that's the end of it. Well, in the case with the DA's office, she had her little henchmen write horrible things about Lauren Skidmore. Why? In the meantime, they're wheeling and dealing with David Torres and H.A. Sala and giving human traffickers, like I said, it was Des Perkins that made this an issue in this community, using her own life experience to tell you how this can occur. And this was incredibly brave of her because she told her own personal story. And some of you know the story of Des Perkins. Do you know who her first pimp was? Do you know who her first human trafficker was? Her mother. Her mother put her out on the streets as a young teenager. And so we are just now beginning to grasp what human trafficking is, how easy it is to human traffic and drag in a young person by a skilled, articulate, well-educated person like, Kevin Mays, who graduated from CSUB, was part of the basketball team, was part of the coaching staff. But he was also into kiddie porn. He also had weapons that he probably shouldn't have had. He also had drugs that he shouldn't have had. And he was a pimp. And he won't do 3 years in jail. That's just not justice. You can call it whatever you want, but that's not justice. And for somebody high as a kite to kill somebody in an automobile accident and to do 2 or 3 years, that's not justice. That's not justice. That's wheeling and dealing. That's cutting a break so we don't have to go to trial and we don't have to cross sabers with David Torres or H.A. Sala. I truly believe, I could be wrong, certainly, but I truly believe they're intimidated. They realize they go head to head with those kind of guys, they get their clocks cleaned. And I think part of it is scorekeeping. You know what I'm saying? You know, one of the first rules of golf, Mr. Flores, somebody gives you a putt, you pick it up and run. And if David Torres wants to make a deal, apparently Cynthia Zimmer is willing to pick up the putt and run. Don't have to go to trial, don't have to spend any money. And guess what? It goes on the scorecard as a W. One for the good guys. Unfortunately, one for the bad guy, because he'll be out in about 24 to 36 months. And what do you think Kevin Mays is going to do? As a registered sex offender who falls under a crime that has the single highest recidivism rate among all crimes, you really think he's going to go straight, try to get his life back together? Or is he going to move somewhere else, get some low-level job, college degree, he'll get something, and then try to find, and then get into a relationship with some gal again and try to put her on the streets? The DA's office is putting out a killer and a pimp because they, went and cut a deal. That's not justice. That's not crime fighting. And that's why I believe Cynthia Zimmer is never going to be elected dog catcher in this county ever again. Ever again. And don't forget her sister, Kathy Scrivener, still on the school board, despite the fact that the sheriff insists that she committed a crime by insisting that her grandchildren not testify in the Zach Scrivener situation. But I just don't understand our judicial system. Maybe that's part of the game, that you have to cut deals. But the idea that we're light on punishment for people who, I don't know, human traffic human beings. You know what that's a cute name, isn't it? The real name should be slavery. Isn't that what it is? Where you're telling somebody what to do when they really don't want to do it, and they can't earn any money doing it. They've got to turn all their money into massa. The pimp is massa. Yes, massa. I'll go out and have sex for you, massa, give you all the money. That's slavery. Human trafficking is a nice little technical name. Got a deal. Get high, jump in a car, kill somebody, got a deal. 36 months, 48 maybe. You can call that whatever you want to call it. Time of the sign of the times, understaffed, intimidated by better attorneys. But whatever you call it, don't call it justice, because that ain't what it is. And again, this is from a guy who used to think that Cynthia Zimmer was the most ardent, vigilant crime fighter I'd ever met. It's one of the things I admired about her, that she just can't stand criminals. Well, not anymore, it seems like. It seems like she's almost warming up to them. How do you sleep knowing that you just let a pimp, a human trafficker, get a light sentence? That you let a killer who was irresponsible, stupid, and high as a kite walk in a couple of years after a family is grieving over the death of their grandmother? How do you sleep when you have the power to put these people away for a long time? And it's not just for the pure justice of those two men. It sends a signal into the community, to the bad guys, that if you cross paths with this DA's office, we're going to throw the book at you. Well, now the message to the community is, if you commit a crime like, human trafficking, or kill somebody, we're open for negotiation. We'll sit down with your attorney and see if we can cut a deal. Yes, even if you've killed somebody, even if you committed somebody to slavery, even if you're in a kiddie porn, we're open to negotiate. We're willing to talk. That's crazy. That's crazy. And call it whatever you want, but it ain't justice. And there's some smart, young DA, because that's where it's coming from, her challenger or successor is going to come from the public defender's office. No private attorney is going to take a pay cut to work for the county. That's the only karma in this. Because again, as I've talked about, you really think Cynthia Zimmer isn't going to run? Do you really think she runs in circles where people are telling her these things? No. You really think she listens to my stupid ass? Even if she does, she'd wave me off like that idiot doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going to get reelected 60-40. Okay, let's see. She runs in circles where people tell her, you're doing a wonderful job, Cynthia. You're doing don't listen to that Bailey. Doesn't know what he's talking about. You're doing a wonderful job, and I've got money. I'll write you a check for your reelection. I'm not so sure that's going to be the case. She's wrongfully implicated in the situation with her nephew. I've been adamant about that. She had nothing to do with Scrivener getting a pass. Yes, there was the infamous phone call, but Donnie Youngblood has exonerated her of that. And I've even gone on my own record that if my nephew was up here, if Thaddeus was up here, my youngest nephew, and he got into a scrape and it involved the sheriff's department, I've got Donnie's cell phone. I'd call him. I don't know if I'd have him involved in the arrest, but I would certainly maybe see if I could find out what was going on beyond the scenes and try to help my nephew. I get that. She had nothing to do with Scrivener's pass that he got from Sacramento. That's why you've got to vote for Michael Gates for the next attorney general over that idiot Rob Bonta. Let's go ahead and take a break. We come back, we'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. We will get into the life of 65-year-old Carl McDaniel, who is recuperating in a hospital with a broken femur. What is unique about the femur, Mr. Flores, biologically speaking?
Something.
No. It's got nothing to do with gender.
The femur. I don't know. No idea.
Largest bone in your body.
Yeah.
Largest bone in your body. You broke it in 3 places. That was a badass bison. Largest male, no, not male, it got nothing to do with gender. Largest mammal in North America. You know something else about mammals? What's the only mammal that flies? It's Ralph Bailey class day today.
She said bats.
That is absolutely correct. Well, of course, California Living Museum woman knows. That is absolutely correct.
She said she trains them. You want her to bring her one in tomorrow?
No. How do they direct themselves, DC?
Just like dolphins. Echolocation.
That's absolutely correct. Look at you. It's class day at the Bailey Show. There's a phrase for it. Echo something. Echo radar, echo.
Location.
Is that what it's called? Echolocation?
Yeah.
I thought it was longer than that. Yeah, that's exactly how they have radar, essentially, in a sense. Quick timeout. We'll talk about Carl and what he did wrong or what he didn't do right. Because the Yellowstone is saying he didn't do anything wrong. Not from my culture. I told you what my culture would have done. Soon as I see the bison, Audi 5000. I'll sit around and take pictures of wild animals. I just don't. I see a coyote, I'm running into the house. You never know about those wily coyotes. Quick time out. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Monday, right here on Newstalk 96.1 AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Adaptive?
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
If you've got kids right now, what happens every summer? Well, there's no summer jobs available. And so you end up having to spend a lot of money putting your kids into something that is going to keep them active. You can't do what we did when I was growing up. It just doesn't happen anymore. And that's been the death of summer jobs and really changed society.
What am I doing?
in a very negative way.
Adaptive?
Adaptive.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, which powers all of AGM's IT, will join us again Wednesday. They're in part of a 4-part tutorial that they're reaching out to you business owners to kind of explain what you should be looking for your IT, some bells and whistles that you should be aware of if you're having trouble with your IT. But most importantly, if you're looking for a company that is reliable, that is customer service friendly, and as absolutely reliable as it gets, you need to call the folks at Adaptive Networks today at 661-241-0648. As I've talked about, American General Media has been involved with Adaptive Networks for almost a year now because we were having trouble with our IT, and we lean on them as a radio station. We depend on our IT. If you're a business owner that depends on your IT, call the folks at Adaptive Networks today, 661-241-0648, or hit them online at adaptive-net.com, or tune in on Wednesday at 3:30 when Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne join us right here on the Ralph Bailey Show, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Is the volatility of the stock market driving you crazy? Is your retirement account sinking, yet you're getting older and you're starting to worry about, will I have enough for retirement? What about the money in the bank? These banks pay nothing these days. How do we get growth to get to retirement account? It's simple. Move into gold and silver. Want to know how to do it? Listen to my show, Striking Gold, with me, Kenny Michaels.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
So Carl McDaniel said he's running around the trees. Somebody rescue me! Somebody get this bison off my ass! You see him running around the trees? And I'm screaming the first time I saw it. I said, Grandpa, go into the trees. Why was he running around the trees? Go into forestry. I mean, it's a 2,000-pound animal, so I'm sure he could destroy the trees just as easily as he could destroy Carl, but
Just slow him down a little bit.
thank you. That's all I'm saying.
Bob and weave a little bit.
Put a little interference between you and the bison, just a little bit. I'm just saying.
But obviously the smarts weren't there. I mean, because stood around long enough.
I mean, taking pictures of an animal, and again, one of our assistant producers who's going to be producing the show tomorrow works out at Com, and I was asking her if they have any bison out there. It would have been fun to talk about that, maybe bring in somebody, but they don't have bison.
It might be a little dangerous.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't mean bringing the bison. I mean bringing somebody who knows something about bison, because the only thing I know is what I heard today, and that was that the sign, because if you've seen the full video, the bison is in the foreground of somebody is videotaping the bison. And what it appears, now I can't fully, say this unequivocally, but it appears, now tell me if I'm wrong. Have you seen the full video?
Yeah.
Okay, so the third party is taking video of the whole scene, and a white truck passes by, and there's a talk that the truck honked at the bison, and that the bison initially was going after the truck, but the truck kept going by, And as the truck passed by, grandpa and grandson were still there. And what I found out today is much like a dog, when the bison's tail is going crazy, or if it stands straight up like a skunk, you know something ain't right. And if you go back and watch the video, you'll see the bison kind of wrestling with itself on the ground. The tail is going crazy. The truck goes by. He gets up on his feet. The truck passes, and there's Gramps. The only good thing Carl did was somehow he got rid of the grandson. Now, why he didn't join the grandson wherever the grandson went is unbeknownst to me. He went running around the damn tree until finally, Bailey the bison caught up with him and put his horns and went him flying in the air. It's not funny, but it's funny. He's doing fine. 3 breaks in your femur is painful because that is, like I said, the biggest bone in your body. And that's a lot of pain. That's a lot of pain. Jeff Flores, supervisor, is going to join us at the top of the hour. But in the meantime, we head into the back half of the hour. It's TRBS. Don't go anywhere.
Current news. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster has named Darlene Graham Nardone as her late brother Lindsey Graham's temporary replacement in the U.S. Senate. Graham died at age 71 over the weekend. Nardone will serve the remaining months of his term, which ends in January. A special election next month will determine the new Republican nominee for Graham's seat. The U.S. has announced a new round of strikes on Iran hours after President Trump said the United States is reinstating a blockade on Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, and in a seeming policy reversal, will charge other ships for safe passage. Iran has insisted it controls the waterway. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 138 points, the NASDAQ dropped 408. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt?
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
It was a wreck between a motorized scooter and a Chevy van Friday night that was responsible for the death of the 17-year-old who was riding the scooter on Lost Hills Drive near King Street. That's according to the California Highway Patrol. They do not believe drugs or alcohol were a factor in the wreck. They also have not released the name of the person who was killed. An earthquake about 9:40 this morning did not do any appreciable damage, according to early reports. The U.S. Geological Survey says that happened near Johannesburg, and the quake was a 4.3 on the Richter scale. A fire Saturday morning just after 10 near Highways 46 and 33 in Blackwell's Corners ended up burning more than 1,000 acres, say firefighters. They are reminding you to be extra cautious in this weather with any activity that could potentially start a wildfire. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
The Colonel's cooked up a new $10 bucket of the day just for you. Monday, 24 nuggets for $10. Tuesday, 8-piece fried chicken for $10. Wednesday, 10 wings for $10. Thursday, 8 tenders for $10. Friday, 24 nuggets for, ooh, you guessed it, didn't you? $10. The $10 bucket of the day deal. Every weekday, only at KFC. It's finger-licking good.
Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Not available on third-party ordering platforms. Tax extra.
If there's one thing you can count on, it's 24/7 protection when you bundle home and auto insurance with Progressive. And if there's 2 things you can count on, it's your smoke detector battery dying at 3 a.m. Not 3 p.m. on a Saturday when you have nothing going on, but in the middle of the night when you're fast asleep.
Oh, I met a kid.
Oh, come on.
Get 24/7 protection when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Just one more thing you can count on. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurance. Not available in all states or situations.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, we will talk water. There's a lot of stuff going on. And who better to discuss it with than the best in the business, Lois Henry, sjvwater.org. Will join us on the program. And we will have the very latest in news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey
Hang on a second. The old man needs some spectacles. Please stand by. Oh, it sucks to be old. It really does. I'm getting older in about 3 weeks. Just sucks. Mary Marcus, I wonder what we aren't seeing in these cases, but I agree she has gotten weak lately on crime, talking about our district attorney. And I would have been saying, feet don't fail me now if I saw that bison 50 feet away. That, Mary Marcus, is a funny allusion. Feet don't fail me now. What is that? Is that Parliament? How does Mary Marcus make a Parliament reference? Feet don't fail me now. Dun, dun. You know what I'm talking about? Dun, dun. That is Parliament. Or is that just the general phrase that Parliament stole? Because I find it hard to believe that Mary Marcus was a big Parliament listener back in the 70s and 80s. Or well, that's a bad assumption. Mary, chime in. Did you steal that from Parliament, or is that just a phrase that Parliament put in their song that everybody's aware of? I don't know. Coming up at the top of the hour, Jeff Flores, our supervisor, will join us. In the meantime, let's check on the board, see what you all are talking about. You got anything else?
Sac State?
What?
I don't know.
Oh, is that where the kid went to college? I was saying, is that a D1 school? I thought it was North Dakota State.
Is Sac State a D1?
That's what I was.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is.
Because they play Cal State.
Do they?
Some games, yeah.
Okay. So that might be where we're talking about Ivan Garza, the 25-year-old who was run down in Delano. And there are a couple of mysteries or unanswered questions. A, why is he walking around Delano at 4 o'clock in the morning? 25-year-old kid. And was it just a coincidence that they both knew each other, the woman that hit him and Mr. Garza? And again, I can't get into the connections. I had 3 sources on this story, and they were consistent about Ivan Garza, that he was a wonderful kid. They all said, I know that's what everybody says when a young man dies. And then you find out he was a gangbanger who was hitting his wife. And they all said that was not the case with Ivan, that he was the kind of, 2 of the 3 sources said he was the kind of kid you'd want for your own son. That's what great a kid he was. And as I said, there was a candlelight vigil held for him last night. But the family believes he was run down intentionally. And they believe that this woman did this intentionally. And that's where the connections with the family could possibly explain their belief. But again, I don't have anything hard on that, any hard evidence of what they're insisting. So all I can do is repeat what they're saying. But it won't be long before I think we have some more answers to this. It's a very, very weird situation. You know, particularly a 25-year-old. Like how, like he wasn't adept enough. He's an athlete. He was a damn good athlete. He's a big kid, but I just don't see. It's just not adding up to me. I don't know about y'all, but it's just not adding up to me. Because if he was on the sidewalk and he was struck, then perhaps it was intentional. But why would you want to run down somebody? And what is the relationship between the 32-year-old woman and Mr. Garza? There's a relationship with the family. And again, remember, she called the family. That's how the family found out. The woman that hit Garza, the driver of the vehicle, called the Garza family and let them know what happened. But there's a discrepancy on whether or not she stayed at the scene of the crime. The Delano Police Department insists that she did. The family says that there is a 30-minute window where they don't believe she did. But again, as we go through this, more facts will come out, I'm sure. What else you got?
Mr. Bailey is being irresponsible in his conjecture about the way Child Protective Services handled the Genesis Mata case.
That I'm being what?
Irresponsible.
How so? You can't level a charge and not say, this is how you're being irresponsible. How am I being irresponsible? They came on my show in the wake of a girl being tortured in a hotel and gave themselves a grade of an A, that we're doing just fine. And then they went out and hired a consulting firm Now, does that make sense to you? And if we have one case that's investigated, looked into by DHS, and in that case, the DHS examined, someone later dies, who's responsible for that? DHS can just walk away from that? The leaders of that organization looked into a situation. Ralph Bailey has a child. Ralph Bailey has been accused of molesting or damaging that child. They look into it, they investigate Ralph Bailey, and they give him a pass. They give me a clean bill of health. And a month or two later, that child dies from not only an accident, but torture and indescribable pain this child was in a local hotel in a bathtub. And I'm being irresponsible? But DHS gets a pass, right? So how am I being irresponsible? A child is dead. An 8-year-old was tortured in a hotel room, but yet I'm being irresponsible and DHS gets a pass. But how do you give them a pass when they gave themselves an A? We're doing just fine, but we're going to spend your taxpayer money to bring in an organization to San Diego to give us some help. And then once they realize that they've got us on the hook, they're going to come back and ask us for more money. Because that's what the supervisor is going to vote on tomorrow. That's why we're talking with Jeff Flores in about 20 minutes. Why are we giving these people more money? If I'm being irresponsible, then what you're saying is DHS is doing a great job. DHS is outstanding. Then why do they need a consultant? Why are we about to spend $250,000 more? Because DHS is so wonderful, but I'm irresponsible. Thank God I'm irresponsible. Thank God somebody is shedding light on these groups and are going to hold them accountable. And if trying to hold them accountable, a group that says, we're great, but children are dying, then I will continue to be absolutely irresponsible. And to be blunt with you, I don't know what you do for a living, but you have no understanding of journalism, in my opinion. So you would know what responsible or irresponsible is. Let's be honest. What else you got? Irresponsible. Gone crazy. Knuckleheads.
Ralph.
Yes.
Bakersfield is not the only one that does it. Everyone across the country cuts deals and let people do less time because they don't want to go through the hassle and it costs too much money.
You're right. Don't make it right. And it used not to be the case here. Lisa Green didn't cut a lot of deals. Ed Jagels didn't cut a lot of deals. I understand the judicial system a little bit. I've lived in other states and other cities. But human trafficking? Really? Instead of trying to criticize me, why not engage in what I'm saying? In other words, if you think I'm being irresponsible or talking out of the side of my mouth and don't know what I'm talking about, then applaud the DA's office for giving a human trafficker 3 years. Is that what we should do? Is that what I should do? That's a great job, Cynthia. Way to go. You caught a human trafficker who's into kiddie porn, methamphetamine, illegal weapons, slavery, and he gave him 2 to 3 years. Way to go. That is outstanding. What a community. And the fact that it's done all over the country. So, I thought we were about law and order here in Kern County. I thought we were about shoot them first and ask questions later. That's right, I said it, and I like it. Remember the famous Carl Sparks story? You guys are old enough to remember Carl Sparks? Carl Sparks used to tell a story. There was a chase going on, and the kid was coming, fastly approaching Kern County line. And the LA County folks were, well, we're going to cut him loose and turn him over to Kern County. Good luck with that. Meaning, you in trouble now. You in law enforcement country now, Jack. We used to have a reputation in the state for not coddling criminals, for not cutting deals. The Lisa Greens of the world, the Ed Jagels of the world. Papa Jenko, look what we got. And It's common, but it used to not be in this county. Not when people die. Is that what I'm supposed to do? Is that what y'all want me to do and come here and say, this kid got high on weed, got into a car, and deprived the family of their elderly grandmother, and he's going to do 3 years in jail. Way to go, Cynthia. Way to go. Nicely done. Why go to trial? Why spend all that time to try to get this guy serious time? All he did was kill somebody. All he did was deprive their family of a grandmother. Give him 36 months, 48 months, cut the deal and let it go away. Is that what I'm supposed to do? Or as a member of this community that has a voice for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, for about 50 to 49 weeks out of the year, I'm sorry. I'm going to use that bully pulpit to see the things that I don't like personally and talk about them. And believe it or not, every 2 weeks, Mr. Brandon sends me a check. I swear to God, every 2 weeks, like clockwork. That's how I make my money. And I don't like it. And I don't give a damn if it's going on in Wisconsin and Michigan and South Carolina and Georgia or even in other counties in California. I thought we were about law and order. I thought we were about punishment. You know, minimal crimes. And again, I'll use the example. I'll use my own example. You all know I got jumped at a bar, broke my jaw in 2 places. That guy did 2 years. He did 2 years in jail for hitting idiot radio talk show host 3 days before his birthday. 2 years for just punching a guy in the face. Kevin Mays was a pimp who engaged in kiddie porn. He probably won't do 2 years. He got sentenced to 4. He's got 10 months on his books for time served. He'll do 24 months. So you're telling me that a pimp and a drunken idiot who twice got into drunken bar fights, that's equivalent? That punching a guy in a bar at a restaurant and killing a 65-year-old woman because you were high on drugs driving a car, that's equivalent? Because they're about to do about the same amount of time. The kid that killed the grandmother is going to do the same amount of time as the guy that hit me in the face. And you all expect me to come on and say, way to go. That's outstanding. Can't do it. Won't do it. Won't do it. And you think this is easy? Cynthia Zimmer and I had a great relationship. And as I've talked about, I will forever be in debt for them hunting that idiot down, going to great lengths to prosecute him, and sending him to jail. But it baffles me that that guy is equivalent to a killer and or pimp. If that makes sense to you, then I guess we can all live with it, huh? But it baffles me. So I bring it up. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, again, Supervisor Jeff Flores at the top of the hour, I believe, live in studio. And I've got some other miscellaneous news and notes to talk about. Talk a little sports. We're at the halfway mark, even though we're like 90 games into the season. Isn't that weird? There are 162 games, so the break should be like at 80. I'm not quibbling about 9 or 10 games. I was just questioning. Dodgers are sending 6 All-Stars to Philadelphia. I do not believe Shohei is going to play. I do not believe Yoshinobu Yamamoto will pitch because he pitched the other day, unfortunately. Because, again, we got swept by the Diamondbacks for the first time since 2017. But all in all, it's been an outstanding first half for the Dodgers, and a three-peat seems very, very likely. And we got some guys who are about to come off the IL. Kiki is about to come off the IL. Evan Phillips pitched, unfortunately, last night because he gave up a home run, but he's healthy. Tyler Glasnow is close. Blake Snell is close. We're not even healthy, and we're dominating the National League West. Best record in baseball. And we'll talk about Caitlin Clark and Sophia Cunningham. You might have seen her if you have Spectrum or if you're a UFC fan. she was a ring girl. No, not Caitlin Clark, Sophia Cunningham. Is she beautiful? You know what I'm talking about, Sophia Cunningham?
I think I know who you're talking
The
about.
blonde who became famous when they were beating up on Caitlin.
Oh, yeah,
and on the
yeah,
very
yeah.
next play, she took the girl down to the ground. And then she's the one that was pointing at the other girl the other day.
She was the ring girl, right?
And she was the ring girl in the short little black pants. She's not as cute as she thinks she is. She's an attractive woman, but she thinks she's on Instagram and she's on. I just get turned off by people that have the ability to turn a camera onto themselves and just be like, "Hi, it's me. Enjoy me. Look at me. Aren't I beautiful?"
And listen to the Ralph Bailey Show every day from 3 to 6.
That's right. I get it in there. But that's promotion. Promotion. Oh, look at me. Look at me. I don't know. I don't get it. But she's making news. I'll explain why. And of course, Caitlin Clark is the subject of congressional review. I'm not making that up. Republicans are sending notices to the league. They want some explanations as to why Caitlin Clark is being treated the way she's being treated. I'll deal with that. Don't go anywhere. Coming right back.
Kern Radio, News Talk.
Luigi's?
KERN, Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
A educational conversation between J.D. Vance and Bill Maher. This is the opportunity. This is the door that's been opened. You got 13 members now of the Democrat Party that's saying, hey, we like capitalism. And this is the opportunity for other Democrats that agree with Bill Maher that let's take our party back and let's get off this road to socialism.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
If you have an event coming up, and it doesn't matter what the event may be, it could be a reception following a wedding, it could be a celebration of life, it could be an awards banquet. No matter what it is, a great venue is the Warehouse at Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen. I've told you, Gino Valpredo, when he was at Arizona State, killing it on the football field, never imagined himself being part of the family business. That's why I affectionately call him Michael Corleone. But once he did, he has absolutely transformed that restaurant. As we've talked about, there was a period for those us old timers that remember there used to not be air conditioning at Luigi's, and the flies were a situation out on the patio. Well, he's cleaned that up with a special spray. They've got misters out there on the back porch. They've got air conditioning in the deli and in the main restaurant. And as I say, the Warehouse is a great venue for whatever event. And I'm willing to bet that all of you have been to something in the Warehouse. It's been an absolute game changer where Gino serves the Chateaubriand and the Saco beans and the chicken option. Where would you rather be than at Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen? Longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Pet stains on your carpet? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need to make your floors pet-proof. With over 100 in-stock waterproof floors, Carpet Outlet Plus can solve your pet problems for good. We also stock over 50 colors of pet-perfect carpet. Call, click, or come by today for your free in-home estimate. Don't forget, for the do-it-yourself, we also offer free next-day delivery on all qualified stock floors. And as a bonus, go to CarpetOutletPlus.com and apply for 12 months no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus.
We don't family now.
Every day is sale day.
Did you know termites can silently feast on your
I
home
can hear
for
it in
3
my
to
head,
4
but I
years
can't
before
really-
you see any damage? They can literally eat a bedroom wall in less than 2 years, causing major structural damage to your biggest investment. Don't wait for the evidence to appear. Ryan's Termites
That's
is
it,
running
right
an
there.
early bird special.
That's the name
if
of
you
the
know or
song.
even suspect that you have termites, get on Ryan's schedule now for an additional 10% off our already lowest price. All work is guaranteed. There's no money down and no contracts. Plus, in most cases, you won't even have to move or tent your house. Protect your home and save. Call Ryan's today. That's Ryan's Termite
ControlControl.com.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Do the mashed potato. Do the twist. Tell me, baby, do you like it like this? Tell me. Watch me now. 842-537-6842 KERN.
I'm excited. We're going to talk with Jeff Flores here in just about a minute to get his thoughts on what's going to happen with this consulting firm. I think it's called SDI Consulting out of San Diego. Gave them a bunch of money. Now they want more. They want more to tell us how to deal with our kids. Despite the fact that we had Mr. Murillo and his assistant on, they said, we're doing fine. We're an A. And then weeks later, they hired this firm. And now the firm wants more money. They want about $250,000 more. That's called three-card Monte. They found a mark. I don't know how the bidding process went. I don't know how they found this firm. But we'll get into the weeds with Jeff Flores here in just a couple of minutes. Anything left on the board before we head into 5?
Diana from House of Flowers says, great show today, Rob.
Thank you, Diana from the House of Flowers. Do you know her?
I do.
I thought you did. Yeah. How do you know her? I know of her.
Yeah, just met her a few times.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. What else you got?
Ralph?
Yes!
Guess why your blood pressure is so hot? You need to calm down, dude.
My blood pressure is, the last time I checked my blood pressure was 130/80. And for a man of my advanced years and who had issues with his blood pressure, my blood pressure is almost perfect. That high, the bottom number is the most important. It's at 80. That's perfect. 132, I think what it was. I could bring that down a little bit, particularly since I'm on meds. But I'm in tip-top health. Well, that could be an exaggeration. For a man of my advanced years, I'm in good health. But thanks for the help, doctor. One more.
Who is going to run against Zimmer? Isn't that like running against Sheriff Youngblood?
Well, it's happened before, and you're right. We never saw Scott Spielman again, did we? Great guy, local official. He was a football official. Guy working for the DA's office, taking time out of his busy day to go help local high school football. Great guy. But yeah, if you try to take out the king and you miss, your future is not bright. But who else could challenge a prosecutor? It has to be a fellow prosecutor. Because as I said earlier, who's going to leave private practice to work for the county? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the going rate is for attorneys these days. Oh, for some I do, boy. But I do know that it ain't cheap. In other words, they're making pretty good money in private practice, and they're not going to take a cut in pay to work for the county. And it can't come from the public defender's office because that's completely antithetical to what you're going to have to do. You're right. If there's no eager, ambitious young DA that is willing to roll the dice with their career and challenger, you're right. She could run unopposed. I could be completely wrong. With this whole Zach Scrivener issue and the plea deals that she's been making, if I'm a young attorney, I think I can make a very strong case as to why you should vote for me as opposed to Cynthia Zimmer. But it's got to come out of that office on Truxton because they're the only ones with any kind of experience to prosecute cases. He just peeked in the door, so I know he's here. And we're going to talk to him after these important words. Supervisor Jeff Flores is our guest. Next, you're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230.
Current radio, AM 1230.
Come on in and take off your skin and roll around in your bones.
American General Media Station.
I'm Keith Peters in Washington. In an interview for the Salem Radio Network Steve Hewitt Show, President Trump says the attacks on ships and recurring strikes show that Iran did not intend to honor the ceasefire deal.
It was a test. We didn't know. It didn't look. Memorandum of understanding when you're dealing with sleazebags don't mean much. And they don't mean much when you're dealing with honorable people, too, because it's a memorandum of understanding. It doesn't mean much. And I said, why are we even, it's a standard tactic in the U.S. that you go to a memorandum of understanding and then you go to the deal. I said, just go to the deal first. But you know what? It was sort of a test. And they weren't there. They didn't honor the test. We had it. We had this deal settled numerous times. I said, watch. I guarantee, watch. And they never followed it.
Moments after the military announced the new strikes, Mr. Trump called it another major attack. 2 days after the death of South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, Governor Henry McMaster says he's obligated to pick someone to serve out Lindsey Graham's Senate term.
This irreplaceable man, this extraordinary man for the remainder of his term. Lindsey took care of his little sister in years long departed. It's my honor to ask his little sister, Darlene Graham, to finish his work for him now.
Darlene Graham Nardone will serve the remaining months of his term, which ends in January. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says she'll be sworn in Tuesday afternoon. A special election next month will determine the new Republican nominee for Graham's seat. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 138 points, the Nasdaq dropped 408, the S&P lower by 60. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Oil prices rose, AI stocks sank, and all.
From the KERN
you think?
You're live and local news update.
Yes,
More info on the wreck between a scooter and a Chevy van. I'm Chris Davis. That wreck happened Friday night just before 11:30, and the California Highway Patrol says a 17-year-old who was on the motorized scooter died. The van was being driven by a 63-year-old man from Sacramento, and the Highway Patrol says for some reason as yet unknown, he kept going when the scooter stopped. The 17-year-old was pronounced dead on the scene and has not been ID'd publicly. CHP does not believe that drugs or alcohol were a factor in the wreck. It happened on Lost Hills Road just south of King Street. Another earthquake felt in Kern County, and this one actually originated here near Johannesburg, which is close to Mojave. That happened about 9:40 this morning, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. They have preliminarily rated the earthquake a 4.3 on the Richter scale. That's the second quake in 2 days. The first happened Sunday morning about 3:38, and that was near Frazier Park. That one was 4.1. No injuries or major damage have been reported from either quake. A BMW ran a stop sign about 3 this morning at Flower and Gage Streets, says the California Highway Patrol. When that happened, the Beamer and a truck hit. 3 people were inside the BMW, and police say one of them took off running. The other 2 were taken to the hospital. The person who was in the pickup truck was hurt, and CHP describes those injuries as minor. It's a prime example
Not
of why
centered
you are
here. I
being
think it
warned to
was
watch
in,
out for
Fraser
anything
Park,
that could
I think it was.
potentially cause a
Yeah, another
wildfire.
chair.
A fire that
Little
started
taller.
as burning just 1 acre got out of hand quickly and ended up burning more than 1,000 acres Saturday morning near Blackwell's Corners. That happened near the intersection of highways 46 and 33.
Well, it's my understanding it's
say
better to have a
firefighters.
lot of small
I'm Chris
ones
Davis in the
than
KERN
have the
newsroom with
tension
news
grow
every
and have
half
the big
hour and when it breaks on News Talk
We're due for a
96.1 and AM 1230
really do.
KERN.
To the rest of
I
our
felt it
month
here.
from now, this
We did.
Hollywood
We
big
felt it
shot's
here.
gonna give you what you
I
want.
was in the running.
Start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make him an offer, Cameron.
Sure does.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN.
You got that, Buford?
That's 661-842-5376.
Oh, that's nice.
Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Monday, 13th day of July. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com. We still got lots to do before we get out of here. The president is expected to make a national speech, I'm assuming, about the Iranian situation. That's going to come up on Thursday. So we'll be talking about that throughout the week. And we'll be talking about that a little bit later in the broadcast about where this thing is going, because there were more exchanges. We hit Karg Island, apparently. And the biggest fear is this call from the Iranians to kill President Trump. We should all be praying for President Trump's safety. That should be the general feeling of Americans. But in particular, in this case, because let me just create, before I get to my guest, let me create a scenario for you. Let's say they successfully take out Donald Trump. We determine that the Iranians were responsible for blowing up Marine One or poisoning his food, whatever. Donald Trump dies at the hands of the Iranians. What do you think J.D. Vance is going to do the very next day? My guess, and all my speculations is based on what I would do, we would have to invade Iran. We would have to have boots on the ground. We could not allow a foreign agent, a foreign nation, to take out the leader of the free world without all hell falling on that nation. And that's the last thing we need right now. So we should all tonight say a prayer for the safety of the President of the United States. Because again, J.D. Vance would have no choice. He would absolutely have no choice, because you can't bombard them, that you would have to have troops on the ground. And I think that's the very last thing any of us wants to see. In the meantime, as those of you who are streaming YouTube can see, Supervisor Jeff Flores is live in studio bringing presents. He recently visited one of the greatest parts of the country, the low country of South Carolina, namely Beaufort, Hilton Head, Defusky Island, and that whole, and he brought me back a pin. I don't know if you can see that, but it says the low country, which is what the region, South Carolina is shaped just like a pork chop. And Beaufort is right there on the bottom. And so they call that area the low country. And that's what that pin says. I will wear that proudly, sir. Thank you very much.
You know, Ralph, I read in the news recently that President Trump cut short his Turkish visit based on intelligence reports from the Israelis that there was some attempts on him.
And I think that's why he didn't take the Qatari plane home either.
So it's escalating.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You got any opinions on this thing and where it's going, or how? What's the offering?
I agree with you. Should they strike, that's our option. We hit back and we get them. We've been playing footsie with them since the 70s.
Yep.
We've had it. They've wrecked instability in the Middle East. They fund terrorism. They're state sponsors. They kill as a nation state. Enough is enough. And I support our foreign interest in defending America, whatever it takes.
And isn't it decent that we have the Israelis as a friend in the midst of this anti-Israeli wave by these democratic socialists, these progressives, that are completely moving in another direction. I never would have thought, no matter how old I lived, no matter how long I was on this planet, that I would see a divide in this country over dealing with Israel.
I've never seen it either. They have been our staunchest ally.
Yes.
They're a beacon of democracy. They help. We share intel
in a region where there is no democracy, by the way.
And so, this there's been an erosion of that, and even I know some people that are close to me that have started to question our relationship with Israel. So I remain adamant, steadfast ally of Israel, and vice versa. We need them, and they need us.
Yes, absolutely. Should we question Bibi Netanyahu? Certainly. Can we criticize their government? Certainly. But to curtail or end our relationship with them, in my opinion, is clinically insane.
Absolutely.
Clinically insane.
I agree.
Brought you in here to talk about DHS and this, I'm assuming it's going to be approved, additional funds to this group out of San Diego that's coming in here. The reason that this is, I talked to, I won't name who it is, but I talked to another supervisor, and he said, why has this got you so upset? And I said, because, I'll tell you why, because I had, me, that's why I was so upset about this. And I said, because I talked to Leo Murillo. I had he and his assistant on shortly after the Genesis Mana situation, obviously. And I asked them to give yourself a letter grade. And they said, I'd give us an A. So the comparison I made, Jeff, is that would be like if you and I had a child and our child came to us with a 4.0 and said, Dads, I need a tutor. We'd be like, what for? You're getting A's. Well, you don't need a tutor. I'm not spending money on an expensive tutor. Well, if Little Murillo thinks that they're an A organization, why do they need to call in a consultant? And why are we about to be on the hook for another $200,000 to this group?
Yeah, so what this stems from, the initial contract with Social Policy Institute out of San Diego State University is due to the Genesis Mata case, which was a terrible, horrific tragedy by these two monsters that killed Genesis
allegedly
in the hotel room.
Allegedly.
Well, yeah, we'll see how it plays out in court.
They're guilty of sin, but legally we've got to say allegedly.
Absolutely. So, I'm not placing blame on the agency. I place blame on the parents, of course. However, where there's work to be improved, organizational improvement, especially when children's lives are at stake, we don't want to see any deaths, because ultimately, when the family fails, when the parents fail, when the extended family fails, when everything fails, county CPS is that advocate, is that last line of defense for this innocent child or any innocent children. So,
but that's my issue right there.
We have work to do. Yeah. So
there's my issue. Yeah. You're right. The parents failed, the family failed, people that knew the child failed, but DHS failed. They looked into this prior to her death and essentially gave Ray Mata a pass. I don't understand that.
Yeah. So, in all candor, I don't know the specifics of this case or the taproot or who's responsible for this. But what I do want to see is as few as possible children's deaths in Kern County as possible. Get it down to zero. Every year we have a child death review team that comes before our board. They talk about these horrific cases, whether it's a drowning, whether it's intentional abuse. I don't want to see any. And so, as a policymaker, I'm going to support an audit. I'm going to support consultants. I'm going to support best practices, top down. If there is blame for DHS, what happened? Let's own it. If it did happen, if it rests with us, let's correct it. Look at every protocol, every procedure, staffing, processes, whatever it takes to improve our chances to save the lives of children in our community. I'm all for that. The first part of this contract was that auditing process. What's before our Board of Supervisors tomorrow as an extension of that contract to do the implementation phase of the findings. Now, we don't know what the findings are yet. We're going to know that in 2 weeks. We're going to have a presentation. I want you to cover it, vet it, see what Lido, see what SPI says, see what the findings say. So once we know that in 2 weeks, this extension for tomorrow will get us through another year to ensure implementation with the same auditing group.
But see, this is where I'm confused.
Sure.
Because I think the process is backwards. You're about to approve $200,000, and then weeks after you give this group more money, they're going to assess and tell us what's going on. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't we get an assessment of what's going on and then determine whether we need further consulting? And couldn't we have done this within Kern County? Couldn't we have audited them? Couldn't we have investigated them? Couldn't we have gotten to the bottom of what the Sam Hill is going on there? Why do we as a county, the 9th largest city in California, have to reach out and spend money to clean up an organization that claims on our show that they're perfect?
Yeah, so every department can use organizational improvement. No one's perfect, so I don't buy that perfection premise.
Well, that's the first thing that set off bells and whistles for me.
No,
when they came on the show and said, we are an A. In the wake of Genesis Mata, you can give yourself an A.
I get it. I would have never given myself an A. But let's unpack what you talked about. So in terms of the timing and sequences, so that department, they have the findings. They have it now. So
have you seen it?
I don't have it. I'm going to get it at the board presentation. They have the findings, so they know what they need to do. So they're ready for that next phase of implementation, and so they brought it to our board to continue, because this is going to be more than a year-long process. This is going to be a 2-year process. And in terms of cost, it is $12,000 to our general fund, but the remaining 188 is from federal and state sources. That's not coming out of our general fund. But back to in terms of auditing, yeah, we do have an auditor controller who's looking at numbers and pennies and processes, internal controls. But that's not the same type of audit that you need for this department. This is a specialty child protective services. These people are some of the best in the nation. This is what they do.
Who is some of the best in the nation?
SPI for child protective services auditing. This is a different kind of audit that I would say that's outside the scope of our auditor controller. So could we do it in Kern County? Yes, but you're not going to get the same magnitude of audit from the experts in the field.
What have they done that's so spectacular?
They've gone through the department with a fine-tooth comb. They've interviewed the public, staff, processes, protocols, and I'm going to get the finished product in 2 weeks. So I'll see all the findings that they've made, where there's disconnects, where there's strengths, where there's places that we need to make up. We're gonna get you and I will get the full product in public in 2 weeks.
But they get their money tomorrow.
Well, they've already gotten their money, but they're going to get more money to continue after the presentation, to continue the implementation phase of the audit findings.
But we won't know what the findings are for another 2 weeks.
Correct. But the department knows the findings already.
DHS does.
DHS does.
I'm confused, to be honest.
DHS does.
I've never heard that. I've never understood approving something before knowing whether or not we need more improving.
Yeah. So they've been working on this for a year. So yes, they do have the findings. They've got the finished product. They've been part of the process of agreeing or not agreeing to the findings, coming up with the finished product. We'll get the finished product. They already know whether it's an A product or F product. They already know that there's going to be a continuation of implementation of the findings that they have now. So for them, it's easy. It's an easy transaction. They're going to come up for, hey, we need another year for implementation with the same firm to see it from start to finish. Right now, we're at second or third base, and tomorrow's action will get us to home base over the next year.
Have we seen any improvement? Have they made any implementations?
They probably have been doing some in the interim, but they're going to continue to do so to do more after the full presentation, after the full report. And have we had any more major incidents since Genesis? No, thank God.
Well, we haven't had anybody killed.
No, we haven't.
But do we know that we have had other incidents? I'm sure we have.
I don't know, but I think that they've been more diligent. They've been very cautious. They have a huge caseload. It's more than CPS. You're dealing with law enforcement, with parents, with the court system. A lot of these decisions and placement and what have you are out of the control of CPS, and they're made by judges.
Yeah.
So it's more than one department.
Yeah.
In the CPS system as a whole.
Are they understaffed? Are they overworked?
They'll probably say we need more staffing. They might need more budget. I don't know what their request is going to be, but if they can show me a clear link of deficient staffing or salary, I'll entertain anything to make it better. But they have to show me a nexus that there's deficiencies, there's staffing issues, there's I have to look at comparative caseloads with other counties. I'm just not going to go open the cash register. It's going to be methodical. It's going to be if it's a necessity, then I'll entertain whatever it takes to protect our children.
But they would have
You
already.
can't just say, "Oh, give me 20 more million. Give me 20 million." You got to make the business argument, the department argument, the safety argument, and I have to see the report and I have to see the findings.
In 2 weeks. Yes. Supervisor Jeff Flores is our guest. How much money we spent on these people completely total?
So year to date, I don't know, but what's before me tomorrow is 200,000.
How? Why?
12,000 general fund, the remainder federal and state, but 200,000 for extension.
And it takes a year to get under the fingernails of DHS.
This one took a year.
That seems appropriate to you. Like, how many hours are they putting in? How many days are they putting in? Do we have any information on that?
It's
and how do we not?
Yeah.
How do we not know? Are they working 5 days a week? Are they coming up here once a week?
Well, Lito could answer all of that. I'm sure there's community workshops, there's forums, there's interviews, there's auditing takes time. I've been I've been part of big audits at Kern High School District, at the county. There's a timeline for audits, documentation, what have you.
12 months.
This one's 12 months. I'm not saying it's good or bad.
Bizarre.
I'm just saying it was 12 months.
Seems bizarre to me. It really does.
You don't want to rush it either. You want to do it right.
I guess. What do you think of Lito Murillo and the job that he's doing?
I have high degree of confidence in Lito, his staff, what they deal with, with the cases that they see as social workers. They're putting out family fires throughout this county, and it's not easy work, but they're charged with protecting our children, and so that's one of the highest missions of our county government, is to protect our children and keep them safe.
I'm not as confident as you are, Mr. Flores. I'm not, because how they looked at Ray Mata and didn't say, "Holy Toledo, we've got to get this man not only away from his biological children, but away from children, period." How they walked away from that, which led to Genesis's brutal death, is enough for me to say, y'all are doing a horrendous job.
Yeah, I don't know the timeline or who knew what, when, and how, and when it was reported or what. But if there's any culpability, then I would share your position.
And y'all have not examined that? Y'all haven't questioned that of Lito Murillo?
No, I think if you talk to him and his department, they're going to have a different take on that.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. No. Has he ever come before your board? Have you all ever queried him about the Mata case?
They did.
And about their relationship with Ray Mata? And walk us through. I would love to know publicly what went down when they encountered Ray Mata and this whole family. But so, we don't know.
I don't know. I don't have the specific timeline of the investigation or the calls placed to the department or the who, what, where, when, and why. I don't have that. But Lito would have it.
Yeah. I doubt if he would do my show again, because, again, I've talked about the fact that he gave himself an A, which blew me away. Yeah. But I'll try to get him back on.
Get him back, yeah. I think it's timely now, because it's been a year. We're going to have the audit findings shortly. We have a contractual extension. I think those are all great questions.
Yeah. Anything going on with you personally?
I had a busy day today, starting at 4 in the morning, doing Mike Hart 23 in the 6:30, and I've had panels with the County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the 250th anniversary of America, the Lindsey Graham issues, legislative committee meetings at the county, 17U, and I'm back at it tomorrow. But we're going to get through it.
You're a busy man, Mr. Flores.
I'm a Dramamine.
Supervisor Jeff Flores, everybody. Thank you for the pin, sir. I will wear this proudly as a low country man.
That'll look good on lapel.
Doggone right. Quick timeout. It's TRBS on a Monday right here on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com. So what? Yeah, that'll do it.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Collins, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, we will talk water. There's a lot of stuff going on. And who better to discuss it with than the best in the business, Lois
No,
Henry,
I remember like
sjvwater.org. Will join us on the program.
Yeah, that's
and
what
we
I
will have the very
remember.
latest in news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. Are you looking for a doctor who truly listens, someone who cares about your health and respects your time with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations? Well, it may be time to learn about QualCare IPA. QualCare IPA partners with most Medicare Advantage health plans, giving you access to a large, community-based network of outstanding physicians and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Local doctors, trusted hospitals, personalized care. Medicare Advantage plans offer benefits beyond original Medicare, but understanding your options for 2026 can feel overwhelming. That's where we can help. Call 661-554-4544 today to learn more about your Medicare Advantage choices. Our knowledgeable team is ready to help you understand your coverage options and make confident decisions about your care. Again, that's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs at meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You push yourself in everything you do, scanning headlines for insights, keeping an eye on the market. Robinhood puts you in control of your money, all on one platform. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
P545. Look out, baby, because here I come. The way that you do, you're all right. You're out of sight. Twiddling deeds, twiddling dumb. Look out, baby, because here Ralph comes. Every girl's dream. Here comes old man Bailey. Get ready, get ready. Oh, just get ready, because here I'm on my way. Get ready, because here I come. Well, get ready, because we're headed into the last half hour of the broadcast. Tell you about the president's expected address on Thursday, obviously about Iran. And when we come back after the break, I've got a few words about the DHS system, because I'm probably more confused having talked to Mr. Flores than I was before the show started. But I really, truly appreciate him coming in. I asked some other supervisors to join me, and they subtly opted out. But Jeff Flores always stands up tall. Appreciate that. Headed into the last half hour of the broadcast. You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show. We'll talk about Iran. get back to our lead story of the day. The governor of South Carolina has appointed an interim senator to replace Lindsey Graham. It happens to be his sister. I'll break that down to you before we get out of here as well. That's all coming up. Keep it locked. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com. Twiddly Dum, look out, baby, because here I come.
Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. has announced a new round of strikes on Iran hours after President Trump said the United States is reinstating a blockade on Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, and in a seeming policy reversal, will charge other ships for safe passage. Iran has insisted it controls the critical waterway as another exchange of fire threatened to return to all-out war. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster has named Darlene Graham Nardone as her late brother Lindsey Graham's temporary replacement in the U.S. Senate. Graham died at age 71 over the weekend. Nardone will serve the remaining months of his term, which ends in January. A special election next month will determine the new Republican nominee for Graham's seat. More details at srnnews.com.
The following is a real-life story from
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. A 4.3 magnitude earthquake happened this morning near Johannesburg, which is near Mojave. That quake was strong enough to be felt all over Kern County. It happened about 9:40 a.m., says the U.S. Geological Survey. It was close to the same strength as the one that originated near Frazier Park Sunday morning about 3. No injuries or major damage were reported in either quake. A 17-year-old was killed when the motorized scooter that he was driving was hit from behind by a Chevy van Friday night just before 11:30, says the Highway Patrol. That happened on Lost Hills Drive near King Street. Neither drugs nor alcohol were believed to be a factor in the wreck, and the driver cooperated with police. No ID has been made public on the person who was killed. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Hey folks, Jeff Salters here, noted barbecue guy. Yeah, that's right, Bakersfield's best barbecue. And I'm here with my good friend Michael Binge. You know him as, hey folks, it's Michael Binge, noted barbecue connoisseur. So I'm going to do a little on-the-spot interview here. Michael Binge, you come here once, twice a year now. You get to come hang out. Your family's here. And every time you come, I know you always get you just a grip of barbecue. So Michael Binge, what's your favorite Salty's barbecue item?
Well, you know, bud, I have to get a bunch of food because I got a big family out here. So we always load up on family packs. Could be 2, could be 3, but then we have to get extra bread and extra sides and the spicy mac and cheese and the green beans. They absolutely love that stuff. So you know what I'll be doing? I'll be doing that
Fish for
tomorrow
dinner
night.
tonight.
You can find us at 9425 Rosedale Highway or 6801 White Lane. Or if you want, you can go to saltysbbq.com and order online. Salty's Barbecue and Catering. California Grill, Texas approved.
The guy
answers.
answers.
Good.
He says,
Maxwell in the morning.
so you want
good
2
till the last
yellowtail,
drop.
Judge belongs to
2
the routine
salmon.
law barring ICE agents from
Yes,
wearing a
2
mask.
pieces, but
Can you
just
believe
one
that?
order.
Can you believe they
Oh,
have
yes,
to have
yes,
a
okay.
law
So let me
prohibiting
get this straight.
masks? That seems
1
unbelievable.
yellowtail
A
and 1
judge
salmon.
ruled that it's
Like,
likely
dude,
unconstitutional.
I literally
All they
have
had to do
never
was get a
ordered
message from the
anything
DOJ.
else.
Excuse me, but that's
I get the
unconstitutional. Go away.
freaking thing.
You know,
And
swat
then
them
they
like a
throw in a
fly.
little eel.
Weekdays 9 to
'cause I'm a
noon,
loyal customer.
News Talk
But he
96.1
always
and
asks,
AM
"Do you want
1230,
2 pieces? No, I want
KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
There you go.
Getting down on
The one that we believe in. Gotta get it on the good foot. Good God. Nothing can stop us now. Hey. I don't care what.
Don't tell me now.
Don't fit. There it is. They had to wait. They had to wait for it. Beat don't fail me now. Mary, does this sound familiar? You hear it? The whole funk, nothing but the funk. This is my childhood. One night, here we come, getting down on the funk that we believe in nation. Can I get it on a good foot? Good God. Out of my constriction. You think Mary Marcus is listening to this? It's a great song. Here comes the best part. Here comes the best part right here. Hang on. Here comes the best part. Okay, hang on. I tell you, it's coming. Just relax. It's coming. This is the best part. Hey. My favorite part right there. 842-537-6842 KERN. Want to thank Supervisor Jeff Flores for stopping by. I really do. But I'm more confused than I was before the show started. I really am. I don't understand how you can give a company more money before you read what they have done for you in the past. I don't care if it's 12 grand and they get another whatever it is from state and federal. It's still coming out of us. That's still money that if we're getting it from the state and the federal government could have gone other places. And if it's 12 grand out of our general fund, that's 12 grand too much, if you ask me. Let's get an assessment of what they've done. Let's get an assessment of DHS, which I still believe we could have done as a county for much less than we're paying these people. I mean, isn't that why we pay supervisors? To kind of overlook county business? I mean, that's maybe that would have been the better question for Mr. Flores. What is your role as a supervisor? I'm not picking on Jeff. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just specifically, what is the role of a supervisor? And if it's not to oversee government aid and make sure that whatever falls under their umbrella is doing it responsibly, doing it competently, and doing at a figure and a number that meets our general fund, I would think. But apparently, all you have to do is be Lito Murillo and come to the board and say, we need more money. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead. There it is. 12 grand. Gone. What? You want more? Sure. And then you'll give us the findings after we give the money? Okay, here you go. Here's the money. And you give us the findings in a couple of weeks. What are the findings? You're like, you know what? We looked for a year and we couldn't figure it out. We talked to people, we examined people, we interviewed people, and we don't know what you guys are doing wrong. And we don't know how to fix it. Now, can I have my check? Oh, wait, I don't need to ask for my check. You've already given us a check. Thank you. So we'll be around for the next 12 months. I think that's the responsibility of a supervisor. I think each one of the supervisors should be able to come on this show and say, this is exactly what this San Diego group did. These are the hours that they put in. This is the days they were here. This is what they did. If that's not their responsibility, then why do we have a board? Why don't we just let the departments run themselves? Aren't the supervisors the overseers of all that goes on? I would hate to have to start to think of the board as like our local city council that just kind of rubber stamps what staff throws at them. And is that the test marker where the manager of a department comes before the board and there are no real tough questions asked of him? Like before we signed up with these people, why did we not get under the fingernails of Lito Murillo? Why didn't the board just assign a committee? Hell, you could have come up with a volunteer committee. I would have been first in line to go in and talk to the employees and look at some of the cases and talk to some of the families. That may not be able to be done legally, but I just think there has to be a greater examination of our departments by our own people before we start throwing away money or giving away money or just spending money, even if it's fiscally sound. I just personally believe that we
Kern County folk, namely the supervisors or their staffs, should examine these people. I mean, I kind of compare this to Congress. And, you know, Congress would have a hearing. They would bring the department heads before a congressional committee. They would ask them the tough questions. We've seen those tete-a-tetes. Why doesn't the board do that? Why doesn't the board, when an 8-year-old is tortured and murdered in a local hotel, why doesn't the Board of Supervisors immediately demand that Lilo Murillo come before them and tell us, how did this happen, Lito? How did this happen? How did this girl fall between the cracks? Y'all went out there and talked to Ray Mata, and you're telling me that y'all couldn't figure out that this was a no-good POS that shouldn't be able to babysit children, let alone raise them? Is bad parenthood really that easy to hide? No, it's not. Bad parenthood sticks out like a sore thumb. All you got to do is do a little digging, but you got to do it yourself. You don't have to reach out to San Diego and help us ferret out what's going on with our situation. And obviously, something ain't right because they reached out. This wasn't some normal review. We've never done this before. Am I wrong to want more answers, more questions, more accountability? Lito Murillo can just write a letter saying we need more money, and the board says, yep, there you go. And then we'll get the findings, and then we'll examine and take a look at it. Does that make sense to y'all? Am I the only one screwy here? Maybe. I don't know. But they should all know what is going on with DHS. They have too important a role, the care of our children, to examine it. Because again, if you're asking, well, Ralph, why are you so upset about this? Ray Mata was a vicious, despicable human being. And if DHS couldn't pick out a father who would torture and kill their child, I'm sorry. I can only make one conclusion. You are incompetent. That would be like Sheriff Donnie Youngblood investigating a cat burglar and then deciding, yeah, I don't think he's that bad a guy. And then he ends up stealing us blind. You know what I'm saying? Like if that were to happen, if Donnie or Sheriff Youngblood or his deputies were to investigate something, and then after their investigation, they're done. And then weeks later, that very investigation led to a murder. Wouldn't we hold them accountable? Wouldn't we say, Sheriff Youngblood, you interviewed Ralph Bailey. You sat down and talked with Ralph Bailey. You went into his home. You examined what was going on. And yet he fell through the cracks because 2 weeks later he ended up killing somebody. Wouldn't everyone demand that the sheriff explain, how did you talk, interview, look into a guy, and then after that at probe, he ended up being a murderer? And that's all I'm saying. How in the world did anybody at DHS sit down and have a conversation with Ray Mata and not be able to conclude this guy is a vicious, angry, bitter, horrible human being? Because don't you have to be? Don't you have to be extraordinary to torture an 8-year-old child to death? Remember, with this Mata case, they didn't just kill this girl. They stretched it out. They tortured her for hours. They did things to this child I can't even talk about on this show. And yet they looked into that and walked away. And then shortly thereafter, Genesis Mata is found in a tub at the La Quinta Motel. That's okay with y'all. No questions need to be asked. No probe into DHS and their responsibility. Or maybe the probe should be in the Board of Supervisors. And maybe we should get a definition of what the supervisor's responsibilities are. Are you not overseeing these agencies? Are you not responsible for these agencies and the upkeep and the ability to get the job done? No, that's not their job. Then let me know, because I'll stop voting for supervisor. If they have no role, if they can't oversee DHS, if they can't get involved and bring little Murillo in here and ask him how did Genesis Mata happen, if that's not their responsibility, if they're unwilling to do this, then I'm just going to stop voting for supervisor. Just like I've stopped voting for city council, because it just doesn't matter. It's like Bill Murray and meatballs. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And if we've got a bunch of board of supervisors who aren't doing anything to manage these groups and these organizations, they're not even looking into it, that Mata did this and they didn't look back after Genesis was found in that tub and didn't say, maybe we should have a bigger role in this. Maybe we should delve into these things. Maybe we should get involved, or maybe we should, I don't know, keep Murillo accountable and ask him, how the hell did this happen? But I don't see that coming from this board. And I have friends on this board. One just left. But it's not going to stop me from holding them accountable and demand, as we all should in this community, that one Genesis Mata is one way too many. So maybe that's where I should go. Go back to, what exactly are the responsibilities of a supervisor? Let's just make it plain and simple. Do you oversee these agencies? Are you responsible for the work of Lito Murillo? Or are they all independent groups and you just rubber stamp whatever they want? And then after we pay people, we'll find out what we paid them for. That's like sending money to a plumber before he gets to your house and looks at your sink. Here's a check, sir. Okay, thank you. I'll cash this and I'll be at your house on Thursday to fix your sink. But thanks for the check. Don't make no sense. As my grandmama used to say, don't make no sense. Final break of the night. Tomorrow's a Tuesday. I'm so happy. She's back. She's back. Thank you, Jesus. Teresa Goldner, our former federal magistrate judge, returns live in studio from another one of her lavish sojourns across this nation and planet. Well, this time she didn't leave the continent. She just went across it, but she's back live in studio. And of course, Mary's husband. Mary says she didn't know about Parliament. She just heard that phrase. Feet don't fail me now. Dun, dun, dun. So we'll talk with her husband, Howard, tomorrow as well. And who knows, maybe I get a hold of Lito Murillo. I'm certainly going to be calling on the daily to try to get him on the broadcast. Final time out of the night. Keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230. And we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, we will talk water. There's a lot of stuff going on. And who better to discuss it with than the best in the business, Lois Henry, sjvwater.org. Will join us on the program. And we will have the very latest in news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
The Bear Mountain Sports Summer Savings Sale is on now. Boy, is that a mouthful. Come check out the deals at our new location at 624 Morning Drive at the corner of Pioneer and Morning Drive. Whether you're looking for plinking, hunting, home, or personal defense, the Bear has it all. Bear Mountain Sports has all your favorite brands: Benelli, Beretta, SIG, HK, Kimber, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Remington, and much more. The Bear is also your Byrna Less Than Lethal headquarters. Shop all Byrna products, including limited edition colors. Bear Mountain Sports is open Monday through Friday 10 to 6, Saturday 8 to 5, and Sunday 9 to 2. Have a quick question? Give us a call at 366-AMMO. 366-AMMO. Still locally owned and operated and dedicated to serving the Kern County community. Come visit Bear Mountain Sports in our new location at 624 Morning Drive at the corner of Pioneer and Morning Drive. Bear Mountain Sports, where the tradition continues.
Boy, hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
Oh, I just haven't been as regular lately. It's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
And the match is about to begin.
Most of the team is out with COVID-19, so there'll be some substitutes tonight.
What's this? We have an unexpected guest on the field.
It's a dog, but they could do with extra players.
She's going for the ball.
Our front paws, hands or feet.
Soccer season is full of surprises, and COVID-19 could be one of them. If you test positive, prescription medications may help. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Learn more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security. For the Central Valley, that means local service including burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and custom security designed to work with business operations. Bay Alarm has real people rooted in your community looking out for your business. After 8 decades and 3 generations of family ownership, our promise is still the same. We got you. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know I'm dancing like this? Because one season, this was the theme song to the Bill Cosby Show. You know, I used to change it up every season. And it's the one season where he's wearing the tuxedo and he dances. And then all the other kids come in and they all dance individually. You didn't watch Cosby that closely? You don't even remember Cosby, did you? You didn't watch the Cosby Show. It was like you were 2 years old when the Cosby Show was on. I don't even think you were born. Are you a 20th century baby?
It's 2000s.
Yeah, you weren't even born in the 20th century. Was Cosby on in the 21st century? No.
Nah,
Cosby.
reruns.
Oh, true. So you've seen it on reruns? Okay. I forgot about that. Because they stopped running them for a while. You know, when Dr. Cosby was going through his issues, they would not run it. And then they just said, why are we depriving ourselves money? Let's put this on. And then Felicia Rashad has lost her mind as well. That's unfortunate. She's a dean at a decent historically Black college, decent, Howard University, gave us Kamala Harris and Roberta Flack, but, you know, the school that you want to go to historically Black would be either Spelman or Morehouse College. But so Caitlin Clark is still considered the best player in the WNBA, right? Is that the case? Now, again, before I break down some stats for you and bag on this woman, 2 things can be true at the same time. It's what Chris Rock said about OJ killing his wife. I don't condone it, but I understand. You know what I'm saying? Because Ron Goldman did not find a pair of glasses and return it to the home that night. Let me just ask you a question. Have you ever heard of that in your life? In your whole long life, have you ever heard of calling a restaurant? Oh, okay, Mr. Bailey, we'll send a waiter to your house to return your phone to you. He's on his way. Have you ever heard of that in your life? And this is Bakersfield, where if that could happen, it would happen here. I live about 150 yards from Casey's Steakhouse. If I left something at Casey's Steakhouse, you really think Cassie Biddle would send one of her waiters across the street to my house to deliver it to me? So Ron Goldman was not delivering those glasses. He was hooking up with OJ's wife. He was seen driving the Ferrari that he brought for Nicole, et cetera, et cetera. I totally forgot where I was going with this. I totally blacked out. What did I start with? Oh. I was starting with this Caitlin Clark and the Chris Rock statement about, I don't condone what OJ did, but I understand. Okay? I don't condone the black lesbians throwing shade on Caitlin Clark because they owe a debt of gratitude to this woman who's finally put the WNBA on the map. She's in a most recent agreement. Salaries have quadrupled. That's because of Caitlin Clark, because she brought an element from Iowa that we had not seen on the WNBA level. She's the Steph Curry of the WNBA, or she was. She was. And I told you long before this public feud became public and Congress is getting involved and asking the WNBA, because what happened was she's getting beat up, and there was a play where a girl put her hand in her neck and pushed off, and that's when Sophie started pointing, and there was a big fight and blah, blah, blah. And they're saying that it's because she's not lesbian, and they apparently think she's attractive. I've never thought that she was attractive. Do you think that Caitlin Clark is an attractive girl, JR? You think Caitlin Clark is an attractive woman? I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. But maybe that's the envy. Maybe that's the jealousy. And that she did skip over a lot of people who founded the WNBA and kept it alive. But the fact is, she's an overrated player. She's an absolutely overrated player. Let's just take yesterday's game, for example. They blew out the Aces. Is that a Las Vegas team? The Aces? Las Vegas Aces? Blew them out. And they've actually got the best player, Asia Wilson, the best player in the league. Okay, so Caitlin Clark played just about as many minutes as just about all the players on the floor. And she had 12 points. She was 5'11" from the floor. She was 1 of 5 from three-point range. She did lead both teams in one stat. I'll give her this. She had more turnovers than anybody in the ball club. In fact, she had more turnovers than her entire team. Her team had 4 turnovers, and she had 4. So she had as many turnovers as her entire ball club. And yet, Kelsey Mitchell had 27 points on 8 of 16 shooting. In other words, she's 50% from the floor. She was also 3 of 8 from the 3 line. And Sophie Cunningham had 20 points. She was 7 of 9 from the field and 6 of 7 from the 3-point line. I'm here to tell you, not only is Caitlin Clark not the best player in the league, she's not the best player on Indiana Fever. Are you kidding? And in terms of getting beat up, if you think this is something about race or lesbianism, maybe it is. But again, as I talked about on Friday, go back and watch some of those Chicago Bulls, Detroit Piston games. Go back and watch some of those Chicago Bulls, Boston Celtics games. Go back and watch some of those Chicago Bulls versus the Philadelphia 76ers. What's the common denominator in those 3 games? The Chicago Bulls. So who am I talking about? Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And go watch how Bill Laimbeer used to forearm shiv Michael Jordan in the chest if he came down the lane. Told you the story about how Larry Bird was playing the Bulls. And Larry Bird told McHale, Parrish, the fellas, that if Michael Jordan comes in here with a layup and he's standing, y'all are going to have to fight me. No layups. We're going to knock his ass down. That's done. And that's why Sophie Cunningham is the real badass, because whenever you have a player like that, they're going to get picked on. So you got to have an enforcer
who's going to be like, no, that's not going to happen. That's when Sophia Cunningham became big, when they were bumping Caitlin Clark around in the game. And then the very next play, the girl that was bumping Caitlin Clark was going up for a layup. And Sophie Cunningham was like, nah, and pulled her to the ground. It was almost a fight. That's what I'm talking about. Want to thank Jeff Flores for joining us. Tomorrow, Teresa Golden returns along with Howard Marcus. In the meantime, for J.R. Flores and Daisy, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. We'll wrap here tomorrow.
Radio,
Canal!
KERN.
Canal!
6.1 FM.
I knew that.
Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
All, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The late Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham Nardone, has been appointed to his Senate seat for the remainder of his term.
Do we need to do a promo? We need to do a promo? No? We got a bunch running now. I don't think so. I'll do the promo for the next day, though. You ready? 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Tuesday TRBS. Well, thank you, Jesus. Teresa Golden returns from her vacation. She'll be live in studio. And, of course, Howard Marcus joins us at 4. All that plus me at 3. It's TRBS right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. I'll see you at 3.
President Trump said the United States is reinstating a blockade on Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, and in a seeming policy reversal will charge other ships for safe passage. Iran has insisted it controls the critical waterway as another exchange of fire threatened to return to all-out war. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 138 points, the S&P 500 lower by